us out on News 11 every weekday at 5, 6, and 10 p.m. for your latest local news, weather, and sports.
There's a man in
AM 560 KBLU, Russ Clark with you on a Wednesday morning. That means Dean's here.
I'm glad to be here.
And something unusual. I had a phone call 5 minutes ago and said they were willing to hold. Let's check and see if they're still there. You never know. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dean.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You know, one of the good things about your show is you can listen to it after the show is off.
I do like that because sometimes I have to go back and check myself.
And I was listening. I was quite perturbed about the caller who diminished Carl.
Yes.
And, you know, I believe that we need to smash these two Salowinski adages. We don't talk about politics. We don't talk about religion. And we need to. We're going to win this battle over the tables, whether there's a restaurant, and do it civilly. If you're wrong, you're wrong.
Right.
That guy was completely wrong for, I don't know what he was trying to say. I think he just wanted to say that Carl was a racist.
Right.
Carl's not a racist, if you know Carl. He's married to a woman who's the epitome of sweetness.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
And for that household to sit and listen to him discredit Carl, for her to listen to that, that's why I'm calling this morning, because that is a couple that is what's good about humor.
Right.
And
I agree.
Now, you know, just because the perp happens to be a Hispanic and you want justice, that doesn't make you a racist. You know what a racist is? The person who's saying that Hispanic juvenile represents all Hispanics. That's racist.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Now, if you take away the politics out of what occurred, if you take away the politics, it could be a boat, it could be a garden bed. A juvenile who happened to be Hispanic with the intent on doing damage went into an elderly couple's property with the intent on destroying his property. And that requires justice, not tolerance.
Oh, agree.
You know, justice is good in society. Tolerance never is good.
Right.
Unfortunately, we make bad decisions, and you live with that ball and chain until it's not your ball and chain. But if you continue to do bad things, then you better get used to bologna and white bread and warm milk, because that's where you're going. Everybody, you know, the Democrats, you remember in the first Iraq war with George H. Bush, they were against it, but they weren't against it. They couldn't be against it because that would mean they were against the soldiers.
Yeah.
And so what they did was, I remember at least on the Super Bowl, they listed all the names of all the soldiers that were killed during that war. They like to do that. They don't list the names with the same fervor that they have murdered. I can't remember all of them, but man, the list gets longer. But Laken Riley is one of them. She would still be alive today if the Democrat Party, if not for the Democrat Party. That girl who died on the train, on the bus, who was stabbed out of nowhere, that guy had 8 counts of tolerance. And he finally murders this innocent woman. That's tolerance.
Well, I think it's ridiculous to let these people go and call it tolerance, but I understand what you're saying, and I think
the
left is looking to say, if we just be nice to these bad people, that they'll turn around, and doesn't work that way always.
Right? They have a false view of what works.
Yeah. Too many people in jail, so let's let them out. Yeah.
And we have suffered the consequences of that tolerance all too long.
Yeah.
And so I stand by an American veteran, a Vietnam veteran.
Mm-hmm.
And those are special veterans because we treated them like crap.
Very, very much so. Yeah.
We treated them like crap.
Yeah.
And, they're honored in the midst of Iraq. But we treat the Democrats who are in power today treated them like crap. Yeah. And so this man is impugning an elderly person and his wife, an elderly household, a great American veteran.
Yep.
We have to take care of our elderly, our veterans, our women, the infirm, our minors.
Well, I appreciate the call and the sentiment. I don't always agree with you, but I can agree with you on this one. So, but I want to get
more than you say.
Thank you.
After you hang up, after I hang up, you always say, "Well, I agree with what he said, but I don't like the way he said it."
I'll see if I can't do that again. All right.
But for the sake of that couple,
that's
why I called this morning.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Bye-bye. Yeah, I didn't like the way he said. No, I don't. That's not true. No, I understand, and I don't know if you know, Carl doesn't want to dismiss charges against that kid that broke in his backyard. There was somebody called in that disagreed with that and think that's cruel and unusual, Carl, not to forgive. But I think if we just do that every time, then there's no consequence.
There's no consequences. Right. That's no meeting.
And I tell you, I got tons of emails and checks and stuff of people that agree with the gentleman that just stated that you just can't turn your back on that stuff completely, and it doesn't destroy their lives, and that's what you get a lot. Well, I didn't turn him in because I didn't want to destroy his life.
Well, for something minor like that, it may be a wake-up call, and sometimes lives get turned around.
That's exactly right. And since he's a minor, you can go to the judge afterwards, assuming everything's fine, have that thing expunged.
Yes,
taken off. That's pretty common.
And his name is not put out before the public.
No, that's all good. Obviously, I wanted to talk a little bit about the State of the Union last night. Now, and you and I have not talked at all about it. And I said, I came in and I said, look, here's the rules team. We're not talking
right,
because then I won't know. And I'm really. Let me change my phones a little bit. I'm really interested in this one. And let me say before I even get started talking about it, I think it's the best speech he's ever done.
Now, I'm going to confess that I did not watch all of it. I got about halfway through, and I read more of it this morning, and it appeared to me he was doing a very good job. I thought he was more level, more constrained, and I thought that was better.
A lot of people think he wasn't constrained because he did. I've read some comments from some that think that, the State of the Union is supposed to be not political and not attacking and stuff like that. And he didn't hesitate to point out Democrats' feelings.
Right. Which I thought that was fine.
I don't know that that's uncommon in the State of the Union. Now, maybe he went further than some.
They have been attacking him unconstrainedly for years.
Correct.
And so I don't find it at all untoward that he would point out their deficiencies.
Correct. And he was pointing the things out that he thinks are hurting the economy, hurting the country, and that are unacceptable.
Right.
And, illegal immigration, unacceptable. People getting hurt, unacceptable, those kind of things. And he points the Democrats out for, they're contributing to those problems.
Well, one thing I did not see, but I read about was when he asked everybody to stand who thought that the priority should be safety of Americans first.
Right.
And, secondarily, you worry about illegal immigrants.
And
the Democrats would not stand.
At least most of them didn't. I don't know if any did, but there might have been a couple, like Fetterman or something.
Maybe, but but I thought, wow, that's a defining thing. Because I think something like 70, 80% of the country would agree with that.
I think it was profound.
Yeah.
Well, right. Even talked about the SAFE Act.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't stand for that. And the SAFE Act, we know, is like 84% of the country.
Right. For a voter ID.
Voter ID. And he stated it in there. And the left just, some of the faces on the left that the cameras would zoom in on, and they were just sour. Terrible sour. They hated being there. You could tell. Although most of them did show, there was a big thought that there would be a big walkout, and 30 did. 30 didn't come or whatever.
Okay.
Jasmine Crockett and some others that did their own State of the Union and protest, which didn't get any play, I don't think.
Well, and the other positive thing is that they did stand for American heroes. They stood for the hockey team.
Amazing. They stood more than Trump ever saw. He was amazed about it himself. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Good morning, y'all.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Gilbert.
Well, my take on last night's speech, I got to admit, I liked it better than any other speech he's ever given.
Well, good.
There was 98% less me.
Well, he did do a lot of me, but that's Trump.
But last night he didn't do as much as he always does.
Oh, okay.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree with you.
He did 98% less me.
How dare you agree with Gilbert on my show? What are you doing over there, Dean?
He said my administration quite often.
Yeah.
But that's a big thing. This is what I got out. One, when he was talking about gender and all the pain and the suffering that they cause people to do, gender affirming, the cutting out the boobs and all that stuff.
Yeah, without parents' consent, just sneaking them out.
Not one Dem stood up on that one.
Nope.
At all.
Not that I saw. I mean, it could have been, but I agree with you. I didn't see it.
Nobody stood up. We were watching it. Omar shouting, "You're killing Americans! You're killing people! She looked so ridiculous.
You're a liar! You're a murderer! I mean, she just kept screaming.
She should have been booted out.
I'm glad she wasn't. I'm kind of glad she was ignored. Like you don't matter.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
And what's her name with the mustache with black glasses sitting next to her?
Oh man, I can't think of the name. Yeah, of course.
Did you see that pin that she was wearing?
Yeah, the F-Ice. Yeah.
A grown adult, a woman, grown adult in a presidential atmosphere wearing that button.
Rashida Tlaib is who you're thinking of. Yeah. The one sitting next to her. And both of them had on. Omar had it on also.
Yeah. A lot of them had different things about ICE, but I think those two are the ones that had the F-ICE.
Just ridiculous. And they're leaders in our country or in their communities and representative to our country. And it's just amazing, but it's good to put it on display so we know what we're dealing with.
Yes.
Yeah. And I talked to a gentleman the other day that had a shirt on, and it was nasty, but not real nasty. I said, so what you're doing with your shirt, you got your First Amendment rights, and I believe in that. I go, but you see kids walking by you, and they see your shirt and the profanity that you have on your shirt. You're teaching these kids it's okay to be that way. It's okay to talk that way, and it's okay to display vulgar language like you have on your shirt. You had a-hole on the shirt.
Not good.
Yeah. And he's just looking at me. He goes, well, I go, I know, I understand that. You got your First Amendment rights. But what I'm saying is when you have little kids walking by you and you see that shirt, what do you think they're thinking? You're educating kids to say it's okay to put this on your shirt and it's okay to talk this way in public.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's bad. It's good for you to speak up and just, without being vulgar, to say back, don't agree with you. I think it's bad.
Yeah. Yep. So these people were telling our kids, I don't think kids were watching the State of the Union last night, but
only the homeschoolers.
Yeah, only the homeschoolers. But I thought it was a pretty good speech last night.
Yeah.
I want to say it's one of the best that I've heard from him. And me, being a dummy, I decided to go listen to CNN to see their response. And that woman from Virginia, what speech was she listening to?
Well, they write that before the speech starts. You know that.
Yeah. But I'm going, well, what speech did you hear that I didn't hear?
Right.
I just couldn't believe. Well, I couldn't believe it, but I had to turn it off because this is ridiculous.
But
anyway,
it was an hour and 40 minutes. You put up the whole thing, huh?
I watched the whole thing. Yeah.
All right, good. So did I. It's unusual.
Yeah. I had to that way. I had to call the Russ Clark show and tell him what I thought.
I appreciate that. I like to always know, Gilbert. I do. Thank you for the call, man. Take care.
All right, later.
Bye.
Bye.
It says something to President Trump's stamina and ability to give a stand-up speech for an hour and 40 minutes.
Well, they're still talking about the 25th Amendment because he's not right in his mind and he's showing signs of age. But it's kind of crazy.
I mean, that's an accomplishment. It's not that easy to do.
No, it wouldn't be. And I've got to mention Tom Horn's going to be in here this morning at 7, and that's the superintendent.
He's going to call in?
No, he's in town.
Oh, cool.
He'll be walking in the door this morning having the dog bark at him.
He's an impressive guy.
Yeah. He was at the Republican meeting last night. I was not. I'm still having. I've been
some
told
minor health problems.
Yeah, well, I've been told by my doctor, take it a little easier and stuff, and all that. I went and saw my doctor yesterday or the day before. I guess I saw him yesterday. That the incision is starting to grow. I mean, it's bigger. Underneath the bandage is pushing out a little bit. And I thought, was it pushing the pacemaker out of my body or something? No going on. And so I went in and had checked out, and the nice young lady, the attending physician there at the office, she said, "You're the third one in this morning, and yours looks good." You
must be following direction better than the
others. So no, it's normal or whatever. But I am getting some fatigue. I mean, I have more energy, but I had some trauma to the body, and I need to take it seriously and back off a little bit. So I haven't been going into the shop. I've been staying home more. I did set up the audio equipment yesterday for the Republican meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't carry it. I had Chris Moorhead, my partner, carried it all in. I plugged a few. I only used one speaker. I normally put up a whole set of stuff, but I just put one speaker up and got that done. But Tom Horn will be in here today, and I got a message this morning that the lady wants me to make a shout out to a friend named Mary Joanna. Now, see, that's an old joke, so I really appreciate that. Made me smile this morning. Yeah, so hello, Mary Joanna. Want to know if I'd shout it out? Of course I will. Yeah, we'll do that. But I caught on to it. That's very old.
It is,
but it's a goodie though. And I know there's movies and stuff where you get the principal to call out a name like that, report to the office. Mary, do you want to come down? It's always hilarious, but that's 1970s humor.
Yes, exactly correct.
Yeah, but it was nice to see, man. That's nostalgic.
There you go.
I think that's wonderful. The getting back to the State of the Union, there was some real highlights and things that I found surprising. One was Al Green. I just got to mention it real quick that he was thrown out again, but it was all intentional. He wanted to. So give him what he wants.
Yeah, I think
he wants to be thrown out. He was holding a sign.
I couldn't read it.
Black people aren't aped. So congratulations.
Yeah, it's not like so.
And your point is what? No.
Yeah,
I don't really get the reference at all. I'm thinking, did Trump call them all apes or something? Like anybody black's ape? I don't think
there was some editing error of a YouTube thing where there were a few seconds that stuck on the end. They didn't edit it out, where somebody had some type of cartoon on there where former President Obama and Michelle were depicted as apes.
Okay.
And it's obvious, I read about it. It's obviously somebody just messed up in editing. And it was just a few seconds from what I understand. It's obviously an error.
Well, so Al Green just setting his record straight because we didn't know.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's
insane. But he got what he wanted. He wanted to be thrown out. He wanted to make a spectacle. That's fine.
It's worth a lot of money for him.
It probably does. It raises his value in a certain area.
Well, he gets to do fundraising. Look what I did.
Yeah. I got thrown out again.
Yeah.
That's twice in a row. Now it'll be his last time though.
Oh.
Well, my understanding is in Texas, particularly where he's a representative, after the redistricting and everything, is probably likely not to have a re-election problem.
You're saying he won't be
reelected. Yeah.
Well, then I see this stunt as trying to get some money before he goes.
Maybe he's going to go out screaming.
Yeah.
But you think you'd want to scream about something worthwhile other than black people aren't apes? That's a personal choice.
There's this huge effort to try to depict Trump as racist, and it's just stupid and silly.
Well, that whole theory, if you say it enough, it's true. It's either going to make people going to believe it.
Yeah, but they don't. The old media doesn't control the narrative enough to make it stick.
Not like they used to.
Right.
Not like they used to. But he was apparently having some back and forth discussion with a couple of representatives that were Republican in nature before he was thrown out. But he looked hostile, when he was speaking.
He did.
Yeah, he looked hostile. He was angry, and all that kind of stuff, waving his cane around.
I saw that
he mostly got ignored.
Yeah, I saw one Republican rep talking to the Republican rep looked very calm and not rational in comparison.
Well, I think it was a big success. I think the fact that Elon Omar, who was screaming, and screaming the way you could hear it over Trump's mic, she was ignored. I think that is the worst insult you can have, is that you don't matter.
I think you're right. And it's probably the best response you could do.
We're going to ignore you. No throwing her out. She's like, well, wait a minute. This is racist. You threw Al out. Can't you at least throw me out?
I don't know, but I think she's really valuable to the Republicans as a counterpoint. So this is what the left is.
I think it was great that nobody heard her. They ignored her like she was not heard, and she was doing her best.
Yeah.
And her and Rashid Tlaib were both screaming things that, you're a murderer, you killed Americans, you're a liar. Anything she could do to get thrown out, and they ignored her. I don't know if that was pre-planned.
I don't know, but I thought it was the right thing.
I think it was. But Al was thrown out right away.
I guess it wasn't so clear to me if he was thrown out or if he left himself.
Oh no, he was asked by Mike. Mike Johnson hit the gavel, to bring it to order, and specifically said,
because I saw him going out,
specifically told Al Green to sit down.
Okay, and
he didn't do it, and he hit the gavel and ordered security to remove him.
But they didn't do it for too long.
No, I found like, wow, that's racist. You let the Somalia alone, but not Al Green. The native, man of color stays, and Representative Elon Omar. But I think that's the worst insult you can have, is to be ignored. And Trump called out the Somalians by name, not their personal name, but by name, Somalian. He called them Somalian pirates.
Well, yes. I mean,
wow. Elon is just going nuts over there. Those are my pirates, and screaming out and stuff. And they're wearing buttons that say F ICE. Seriously? Well, representatives of our country, come on, man. It's great they were ignored. I think it's wonderful. Trump was talking about all the positive stuff. And of course, that's traditionally what State of the Union is to talk about the achievements as much as anything. And he talked about the big, beautiful bill and the tax cuts and the inflation under Joe Biden and how it's improved and on track and all that stuff. Exactly as he should have. Here's one of his quotes. He says, "One of the greatest things about the State of the Union is how it gives Americans a chance to see clearly what their representatives really believe. So tonight, I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration on reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect citizens, not illegals." You just made reference to that.
Yeah.
And And that was the whole quote. And the Democrats did not stand up.
I mean, wow.
Did not stand up. And then Trump says, isn't that a shame? You should be ashamed of yourself not standing up. That is why I'm also asking you to end diddly sanctuary cities and protect the criminals and enact serious penalties for public officials who blocked the removal of criminal aliens. In many cases, drug lords, murderers all over the country, they're blocking the removal of these people out of our country, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
I think there's like 80+% support for what Trump said there.
Correct. But he's getting no love from the Dems. Although more Dems stood up on this than I've ever seen. I mean, they got enough about the last year when DJ
over the whole speech.
Over the whole speech.
Yeah.
DJ Daniels, the young man.
They see it right.
They would not stand up for him. And that got pointed out by Trump during this meeting.
Yeah.
During this thing. And I think they got enough of that. They did selectively stand up on a lot.
They did.
More than I've ever seen. In fact, Trump mentioned it. He was like, oh, I can't believe it,
Well, it was positive. It showed
good.
that there are things that we can agree on.
Right.
I mean, like, the American hockey team won gold medals, the men's and the women's. And
women's were invited. He was trashed by some lefties that said, well, you excluded the women, you don't love women and all that stuff. He invited the women. The women couldn't make the thing
work. They had a scheduling conflict.
Well, and keep in mind that the men were mostly professionals. They played professional hockey. They had their own jets. They had, team jets that they could just send up there and all that. Well, the women were mostly in college.
Right. And so they had a tighter schedule in a lot of ways.
Right. They had to get back to certain things.
And President Trump said they will be coming to the White House, and I thought was very interesting.
They were scheduled for that. Yeah. And I don't know how they're going to arrange flight because these people don't have, some of them are college kids.
Right.
So,
well, he sent one of the presidential planes to pick up the hockey team.
Well, he offered to, but I don't know if that happened or not. He said, I'll send you a plane. He said, well, could you send it to Miami? We'll be in Miami. I remember that was on that phone call.
I am not certain if I listened to somebody on the radio, and I forget who said that the plane was there and they were watching it, and it was a presidential plane, not just some other transport craft.
Oh, I have no idea.
So I assumed that they were telling the truth.
But I remember they had to go to Miami for something. They had to spend the night in Miami.
Okay.
So they had a plane already for that to go. And the presidential phone call was an impromptu. That was Kash Patel that picked up the phone and dialed the president and said, hey man, you want to say a few words?
Yeah. And this is something that I think most people love about Trump. He's giving you the truth of what he is.
Yeah.
He does. And
you're seeing
run it through a whole bunch of interest groups to see what word and phrase should I use. He just does it.
See, and they can't scare that. You never know if they're going to win. You're never going to know if they're going to want to do it.
Yeah.
You don't know. And it just happened to be Kash Patel is a big hockey fan. So he had plans to meet with some international players there while he was there so he could justify the trip, I'm sure, which is normal. And apparently there's a lot of gathering of people from all over the world there, influentials that do meet during that time, which is very convenient because they're there to support their countries.
Right.
And Kash Patel was, tapped into that and went there for that. And then he gets a lot of, there's a lot of people on the left that don't know what they're talking about. That said, this is on the government taxpayers just so he could get seats by, to see hockey. And he's been in trouble before and questioned about his use of airplanes and unnecessarily for all that. Well, he has been questioned. That's a fact. I mean, it's not a lie. And the questions were answered that according to legislation, he has no choice but to use the government plane. That was put in to some ruling or something from the legislators that are worried about is, the FBI director of safety.
Yeah, and what I see is a lot of projection on the left.
Correct.
That's what I'd be doing.
Remember when Biden lost the election, he scheduled him and his staff. Everybody scheduled flights all over Europe for vacations, saying they were on presidential, goodwill or something to meet other countries and all that stuff. And that doesn't get really written up about. But they took fleets of planes all over Europe to vacation as the last chance. Not to be president next year.
I don't think people people probably remember when Michelle took several planes to Hawaii as first lady.
Yeah.
And it was like,
that doesn't get
nuts.
I mean, it gets written about her. We wouldn't know it. But
Right.
it's not front page headlines.
Because
it's not demeaned and all that.
It's because what used to be the old dominant media was all pro-leftist.
All right. I'm gonna take a break. While I do, I'm gonna turn the phones back on. They've been off for a minute. I know this person, I'm assuming lady, they wanted me to shout out to Marriage Juana, asked me for the phone number to call in. 344-5258, which I text her, but phone lines are open. And I'll be right back. AM 560 KBLU.
Approaching record-setting high temperatures now for this week. 95 expected today. 10 to 15 mile per hour winds. Clear and 63 tonight. 95 and sunny tomorrow. 66 tomorrow night. Sunny and 97 on Friday.
March 6th, 7th, and 8th will be a weekend full of food, entertainment, and hundreds of classic cars and trucks. It's Midnight at the Oasis, but how about a free warm-up with the rally on Main Street? Thursday evening, March 5th, from 6 to 8. It's a preview of Midnight at the Oasis. The rally on Main Street is in downtown Yuma, and it features classic cars and trucks on display, along with music from the Chavez Family Band. And it's free for the entire family. Thursday evening, March 5th, from 6 to 8. It's the rally on Main Street in downtown Yuma, another Caballeros signature event.
This is as real as it gets. Get up, get kids up, feed the dog, feed the kids, out the door, work, pick up kids, dinner, bath, bed, repeat. You strive all day to make life better for them. So why not make life better for you? Get strive-free checking at Avenir Financial. No frills, no fuss, no monthly fee. Open a strive-free checking today at avenirfinancial.org. Certain restrictions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
The Great American RV Roadshow Super Sale returns to the Yuma Fairgrounds with monster savings and a massive selection.
Explore millions of dollars of new and used inventory with aggressive roadshow clearance prices.
Shop and save on everything from affordable towables to luxury Class A diesel pushers.
This is one of the world's largest traveling RV sales, so get here early to score the best deals.
Whatever you do, don't miss the Great American RV Roadshow Super Sale.
Thursday through Sunday at the Yuma County Fairgrounds.
Presented by RV Country.
This month, Pure Talk is honoring Jackson and Lincoln by offering unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data for just $25 a month. Meanwhile, Big Wireless is honoring Ben Franklin by charging families hundreds of dollars for the same 5G coverage. What? Franklin wasn't even a president. Hang on to those Benjamins. Dial pound 250, say micro, and save 50% off your first month. That's pound 250, micro, to switch to an American wireless company that's truly unprecedented. Pure Talk.
Listen to KBLU from 8 to 9 every Monday morning to Life, Death, and the Law. Sean Garner and Adam Hansen discuss estate planning options. Learn how you can plan your estate using a will or trust to protect your family and secure your legacy. That's Life, Death, and the Law every Monday, 8 to 9 a.m. on 560 KBLU.
AM 560 KBLU. Russ Clark with you, and I have Danny on the phone. Good morning, Danny.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good. Doing well, man.
Hey, I tell you, you know something? I love President Trump. I just love that man. He is cool.
Well, that's the opposite of Trump derangement syndrome. But what did you think of the speech?
I thought it was excellent. Okay. I thought it was. He hit it out of the park, buddy.
Yeah. Any high points for you, or any low points? Anything you wish? Oh, I wish you could take that back.
One of the high points is when he called up the stupid Democrats.
Well, he did, and of course he's getting panned on the left for that. Well, that's not what the thing's about. But I think whether it was Obama or Clinton, things were pointed out about the disappointment with the Republicans at that point. I think Trump does it better.
Yeah, and what gets me, guys, is that the hatred for this man supersedes everything else as common sense.
Yeah,
that Democrats. I mean, not standing for that woman. I basically think all of the
which woman are you talking about? The woman that had her daughter killed by the illegals, or
yes, okay. the Ukrainian girl.
Yeah. Oh, that girl, the girl that was killed. Her mother and father were there, and
yes, yeah. And she was sitting next to Charlie Kirk's wife, I think.
Right.
Yeah, and for the Democrats not to acknowledge and stand, how can you not? How can you look yourself in the mirror and say this is what we believe in.
They have a policy, I'm sure, of not standing for anything to make Trump look any way positive. Trump made that very hard to do.
Yeah.
And he was successful in getting him to stand up more than I ever noticed before. They probably have leg cramps today.
Well, I tell you, President Trump, whether you don't like him or whatever, he's entertaining. I give you that. He's got a stand-up career after his political career.
I think he was. I think he was corralled, and I mean, he wasn't over the top disrespectful, but he definitely was Trump and pointing out what everybody else knows. I mean, he didn't hesitate.
Right. I think that by him calling out the Democrats, that put them on notice and put the country on notice to what they're up to, which I think they probably should know already.
Yeah. They hate that because they're used to controlling the narrative, and they haven't been able to do that as successfully because mainstream media is reduced in their effectiveness because there's so many other measures that get noticed, like social media and stuff. So they don't control it as much as they used to. They control a section of it.
What was your high point of the speech, buddy?
I think all of the accolades given to war heroes and to the hockey team, and maybe you think, well, that's not appropriate during this entire thing because it's about the State of the Union. I think it is appropriate, and I think that shows an attitude and a direction of positiveness and rallying and patriotism and coming together, and that's what it was designed for. I think that's what it did as much as it could. That's where you got more Democrats actually standing in unison. And it was a unifying moment. And that was unifying. It was unifying through sports, unifying through heroism, unifying through recognition, and even unifying through mourning of those that had horrific losses.
Yeah, and then when President Trump said, look, they're all standing. I've never seen them stand like that before, something like that.
Well,
I'm paraphrasing.
He did. Now, I take that as a positive. There's many of the Democrats would take that as a negative because we don't want to be seen as agreeing with Trump. And that's not what it was about. It was about unity. Trump was leading, the meeting and then leading the thing. But the reason they stood was the subject matter. And the subject matter was unifying.
Yeah. Hey, can I say hello to Dean?
No.
Dean's being a little Bill. Hi, Dean.
Hi.
How you doing, buddy?
I am doing better than I deserve.
Wow. Yeah, that's good.
Hey, you're on the Russ Clark show. How could you not be doing great?
That's the point.
I think my statement agrees with that.
All right, buddy. I appreciate the call, Danny. Thanks.
Yeah, guys, you take it easy, okay?
All right, bye-bye. Danny in a good mood this morning, which means the speech went well.
It did.
I think. And it meant something to him.
The brief amount of time I spent checking responses to the speech, the overall tone was it went well. You did a good job.
Yeah, I think so. And even the disappointments he has in the directions of the Democrats and the failings of the Biden administration, it wasn't over the top, but it was just noted.
Right.
That kind of stuff, which I respected. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning.
Well, good morning, Mike.
2 days in a row. Wow.
Man.
But anyway, the drawbacks of last night was, I believe that Trump was a little too graphic as far as the murders of the kids.
It was tremendously graphic, and even the hero helicopter pilot talking about the gunshots that he received, the pain that he was in, the blood that was flowing to the back. So his team knew he was hurt. Very, very gripping, very graphic. I agree with you. I don't know that I agree it was too graphic, but it was definitely eye-opening. That versus a notice that when we first had it, nobody was lost. We had a few injuries, and that's what we heard early on. This explained the drama, the heroism, the facing of danger better than I could have done for sure. He he really laid it out. And for the mother that had to come home and find a daughter that was killed was upsetting. I agree with it. But it was a graphic statement. We didn't get pictures. That's good.
Yeah, that it's sort of like the Passion of the Christ, the Mel Gibson movie.
Well, that was pictures.
Well, you can read about the crucifixion. You can read it, and it really doesn't do. But when when he filmed him being whipped 39 times, it put a little different picture to it.
Well, that was reality, if you can take it,
Yeah, and so I guess that being graphic like that does put a little different outlook on it.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that, shoot, he could say the sky is blue and they could stand up and clap. I mean, they look like a bunch of Jack in the Boxes. Shoot, Trump would say 2 sentences and they'd.
Oh, you mean like the Republicans would? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very common. That's very expected in these kinds of things. And I think the clapping is legitimate. I don't think they're going to clap for something terrible.
Well, no, but still, it's just, I don't know. That's always, shoot, if it wasn't for all the clapping, shoot, the darn thing would have only lasted 30 minutes. So, anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I'll let you go, buddy.
All right, buddy.
You
Take
guys
care,
have a good day.
All right, man.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, so he thought it was too graphic. And it's fair, we want to know what you think. So,
Right.
That's okay.
But I think the clapping made this very excellent point of how stark the difference is between the two parties.
Yeah. Yeah.
A clear choice, I think, is.
And it's always like
Reagan
that.
said.
It's not unusual. Yeah.
Well, I think for a lot of years, people have claimed there's no difference between the parties. There's one uniparty, and that's it. And I think before Trump, there was much more reality to that.
Yeah.
Trump has shown it's now the Trumpian party or the Republican Trumpian party, and they support him.
Right.
Almost entirely, almost wholeheartedly. I mean, there's a couple of unusual exceptions. And the Democrats are almost exactly the opposite. So you have a clear choice looking at the two parties.
I agree, and I think it did it well. I was it was noteworthy, the explanation he gave of the injuries, the explanation he gave of the horrors. It was noteworthy. I didn't take it as like Mike to think it was too much. But everybody's different on that kind of stuff.
Sure.
There's a difference of opinion. I thought it was appropriate, and it kind of brought to light, versus the reports that somebody, there was somebody injured, but nobody died. So it was like not a big deal. It was a pretty big deal. I mean, that guy was fighting for his life. He survived, but you saw him there. I mean, he was. I don't know if you saw that part.
No, I didn't see that part.
Yeah, he had to use a walker to be able to stand up and stuff because he was shot in the legs, and kept flying the helicopter. It was very hard to do with shots in your legs because it takes rudder pedals.
It's impressive.
To balance.
Helicopter is probably one of the more difficult machines to fly.
Yeah, I've never tried, but I've never given the opportunity. I would try. I would like to.
I steered one for 20 minutes one time.
Yeah,
but I said I flew a helicopter, and the person I was talking to was a real helicopter. I said, "No, you just steered it for a while." I said, "Yeah, that's true."
There's a skill set there that's hard to master.
It takes real coordination.
It does. That's they say rubbing your belly and tapping your head.
Yeah,
that's the explanation I get. We'll be right back. AM 560.
March 6th through the 8th, it's the 33rd annual Midnight at the Oasis. An entire weekend of food, entertainment, and hundreds of classic cars and trucks. Now's the time to get your weekend passport tickets. These will get you into all of the events all weekend long. Go to our website to buy yours today. Midnight at the Oasis, March 6th through the 8th.
To be a part of Russ's show, call 928-344-5258. That's 928-344-5258.
This month, Pure Talk is honoring Jackson and Lincoln by offering unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data for just $25 a month. Meanwhile, Big Wireless is honoring Ben Franklin by charging families hundreds of dollars for the same 5G coverage. What? Franklin wasn't even a president. Hang on to those Benjamins. Dial pound 250, say micro, and save 50% off your first month. That's pound 250, micro, to switch to an American wireless company that's truly unprecedented. Pure Talk.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
There's a man in D.C. He stands 6'3".
AM 560 KBO. Russ Clark with you. Wednesday morning, 6:51. Dean's here.
Glad to be here.
And he just went out and checked, and Tom Moore is out in the lobby with somebody. That's what I need. I need someone to go with me when I go places.
Sure, yeah. That's I'm sure there's plenty of volunteers.
I can't even get them to answer the phone, Dean. We're going to get that. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Good morning. This is Sandy.
Good morning, Sandy. What do you think, ma'am?
Oh, the speech was excellent, and I saw everything, and nothing was too graphic.
I agree.
The American public, the majority of us, have never been involved in war. He was handing out deserved medals to different men, and it was important to explain what that helicopter pilot went through, and important to explain like what the National Guardsmen went through, and even to talk about the old warriors. But I thought several things were excellent. I'm not going to mention them all. I'll just mention a couple. Number one, he says early on in the speech, we passed the big, beautiful bill, but it's the Republicans who voted to lower your taxes. The Republicans who voted to give you no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and so on.
Well, good point.
The Democrats want tax increases. So what did the Democrats do? They stood up and clapped for themselves. I mean, that's an ad right there. They want more of your money.
I didn't notice it.
Well, you go back and look. And those idiots stood up clapping, and they would go, yay!
The Democrats want more of your money.
The Democrat
want tax
members that were there.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
All right. So now you can go back and check that.
That was a misstep.
No kidding. There were several missteps because it's a horrible, horrible thing to be okay with someone being murdered. And you had mothers in there, sisters in there, where their family member, these angel families, and they've been asking for justice for decades. Trump's the only one who's ever done anything about it.
Sure.
And they were there, and these people couldn't stand up for these grieving families who were killed by people who should not have been in the country, by people that their party allowed into the country. So they have blood on their hands. And another big misstep is this, something I've been saying for years. And President Trump, I'm going to actually do his quote. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. And I totally agree with that. He's the president of the United States of America. Congress, who do they give an oath to? Somalia? Do they give an oath to Mexico? No, the United States of America. And Democrats would not stand up. I mean, that's another ad just right there. I mean, so many missteps because their true colors are that they are not for the American people. And we've been saying it. I've been saying it. Others on your program have been saying it for a long time.
Yeah.
But President Trump, who gave a great positive speech, you know, talking about all the things they've done, all the things that they're going to do, interspersed with, you know, the hockey team and all these people who sacrifice themselves for other individuals, you know, and giving them the ones who are, you know, deserving Purple Hearts. I can't remember the Presidential Medal, Congressional Medal of Honor, all those different awards were included there because they were deserving. And he was putting a light on all these American heroes and then making it clear that the other side, there's a problem with them. And I really loved it when he said, you can't stand for that. I'm glad he pointed that out.
Yeah.
Any American who missed it, you can't stand for that. And he was relaxed. Though sometimes I thought he looked kind of angry, but he kept it controlled. And his anger was at the Democrats not supporting Americans and Americans. They only did easy things, you know, like the hockey team or some sort of hero thing. If it was an American versus an illegal murdering them, hey, we're for the illegal murdering them. That's what they made clear.
He did a great job pointing that out.
Correct. I mean, the whole speech, though, was wonderful. I did not, and I watched the whole thing, I did not hear anything too graphic. I think it's wonderful that he can narrate what happened so people can understand why this man who's using a walker just to help him stand up, why he deserves this award. You know, why this little girl who's still injured from being in an accident with an illegal alien, you know, you can tell that she's still got a ways to go, that she's deserving of, she's an American, and yet you're okay with the illegal that ran into her, you know, the vehicle she was in. You're okay with that? And so he did it much better because he didn't sound as angry as I do. But, you know, he just did a good job. And I think it's clear. We've got to make it clear that we've got to put the American people first. That's where our taxpayer money goes to. That's what it's supposed to go to.
Well, that's where it comes
and
from.
we've got to get rid of all this fraud.
It comes from the people. It's been given away to people from other countries unnecessarily.
Well, here's another line that I liked, and I don't know if it'll happen because there's a lot of people that don't like tariffs as much. He said we could get to a point where we would get enough revenue from tariffs that people wouldn't have to pay taxes. Now, my nephew and I heard that. My husband heard that and was like, yes, that would be awesome.
I would like to see that. I'd like to see that replace income tax.
Well,
correct.
That
would be so beautiful.
That
But
was
we need future presidents as smart as he is, with the smart people working for him, to continue that. And it's in the laws. It's all in the laws. And the Supreme Court was wrong at what they did, but he's a fighter. And And he's got all these other laws that have withstood lots of lawsuits and to do tariffs with. And he's got Scott Besson and a whole bunch of other smart people. And I really think they'll get it done. And that's another thing. It's really good to have a president who's very smart. And this guy really is. He's proved that he's smart. And that he has, at least for especially the second term, a group of very smart people working for him.
I'm running out of time, my friend.
No problem. I just want to say again, it was an outstanding speech. And if you want Americans first, then you need to vote Republican. None of this nonsense about any of the Democrats. They showed their colors.
Thank you, Sandy.
Bye.
Bye-bye. I'll be back. AM 560. KBLU.
There's a man in D.C.
This is News Talk 560 KBLU, Yuma.
This is a Fox News alert. It took longer than ever to tell us the State of the Union is strong. I'm Dave Anthony. We have achieved a transformation like no one has ever seen before. And they turn around to the ages. President Trump, in the longest address to Congress ever, an hour and 48 minutes, sounded a rolling economy, saying he's lowering inflation, solving an affordability crisis he blames the Democrats. The president also called his new tariffs stronger after what he called an unfortunate Supreme Court ruling striking down his earlier ones. The tariffs paid for by foreign countries will, like in the past, substantially replace the modern-day system of income tax, taking a great financial burden off the people that I love. While the Republicans fear, Democrats say it's the American people paying those tariffs costs, and they also didn't fear this. We now have the strongest and most secure border in American history. And as the president talked about removing criminals in the U.S. illegally, he also said, if you agree with his statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not legal aliens. Again, those are Republicans applauding. Democrats stayed seated, and the president told them they should be ashamed of themselves. Some of them shouted back saying he should be ashamed. More than 70 Democrats weren't even there boycotting. Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger delivered the Democratic response.
He lied, he scapegoated, and he distracted. And he offered no real solutions to our nation's pressing challenges.
President Trump also warned Iran he won't let them build nuclear weapons. And he awarded a Purple Heart to a 100-year-old World War II fighter pilot, a Congressional Medal of Honor to a National Guard member shot in Washington in November, and his family of the other soldier killed that day. And the president also paid tribute to the men's gold medal Olympic hockey team. Come on, that led to a USA chant. Americans listening to Fox News. Let me Brian's story. He's in Alabama, and he wrote it. Glenn, after taking Relief Factor for just 3 weeks, at least 90% of my pain is gone. My pain has started to limit me at work and at home, and I am amazed at the relief that I have gotten. Those are Brian's own words, and they speak volumes about what Relief Factor can do. And I've seen that kind of transformation in myself. Hearing Brian's experience reinforces why I endorse Relief Factor so seriously. Before I started taking Relief Factor myself, I was losing hope that I could ever have a normal life again. My hands were in so much pain. It's created by doctors, 100% drug-free product using 4 key ingredients. It supports the body's natural inflammatory response. Hundreds of thousands of people have ordered Relief Factor, and like Brian and me, over 2/3 of these people go on to order more month after month. So don't wait. If you're dealing with pain, launch your 3-week quick start and see what Relief Factor can do for you. Call 800-4RELIEF or go to relieffactor.com. Don't wait anymore. Feel what it's like to be out of pain. 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Feminist 11 information desk news in Aguilera. One person is dead following a motorcycle crash in Lima. Lima police responded to the crash at the intersection of Palo Verde Street and Avenue 3E on Monday night. YPD says a 54-year-old man riding a motorcycle crashed into a car driven by a 32-year-old man. Police add that this is the latest of several motorcycle crashes in Lima this year. The motorcycle rider was taken to Good Health, where he later died. No injuries were reported from the driver or passenger of the other vehicle. An investigation is underway. Plus, a mobile home caught on fire Tuesday afternoon in the Yuma Hills and have it around 2 p.m. on 39th Place near Foothills Boulevard. Rural Metro says the fire started from an electric panel and quickly spread to several kitchen appliances. No injuries were reported. Catch the TV side on Google up every weekday at 5, 6, and 10 p.m. for your latest news, weather, and sports.
I'm thinking of buying a new car, but with rent and other expenses, it's hard to stick to a budget. To help me plan, I signed up for budget billing with APS. They average my payments over the year, so I pay about the same every month, which is a big help. Oh, don't break down the budget.
Do you want an easier way to plan? Let's talk about budget billing. Seasonal highs and lows are evened out, giving you a more predictable payment. Learn more about all your options at aps.com/let's talk.
There's a man in D.C. He stands 6'3". He's fighting for you. He's fighting for me. He'll bring that on, just like he said.
Hey, I'm 60K. You Russ with your Dean Whitehead's with me.
Glad to be.
And we had promised Tom Horn, Superintendent of Public Instruction for the entire state of Arizona. And good morning, sir.
It's great to be with you, and not for the first time. I enjoyed being in.
No, you know we can't get rid of you. You just keep popping up here.
Well, you have a terrific sense of humor.
It's all good. That's all good. And I know you're on the campaign trail too, same time. So you're running for re-election.
I am.
And at the same and simultaneously you're helping out Rodney Glassman.
That's right. I think it's probably the first time it's ever happened. The same election I'm running, I'm the chairman of Rodney's campaign for Attorney General while I'm running for re-election as state superintendent.
Which is a boatload of stuff to do, Dean, but that just means he's got great people around him.
I have great people around me.
It's a talent.
I think the best thing I ever did was select my executive team there. Every one of them's a real star. I'm very privileged to have.
Yeah. Well, and Dean, you're right. There's a talent. You know, there's people, managers. We know managers a lot. You know, small business managers, all kinds of managers, and there's a lot of managers of people that don't want anybody smarter than them working around them. You know, and those are usually failures.
Yes. Yeah, I always thought your best bet is to hire people smarter than you. If you can get them, it's great.
Exactly. You know who's famous for that was Henry Ford. You know, he often mentioned that you know, these guys are smarter than me. Let them answer. Like when you go to Congress to have to answer questions or something, he'd say, "Well, I bring in my engineer is much smarter than me," and all that stuff. You know?
Well, you know, they know more about the areas that they're responsible for than I can possibly know, being responsible for everything. So I listen carefully to what they have to say. I have to be responsible to the public for my decisions, but I listen very carefully to what they say.
Yeah, you just have to manage it and be responsible for the decisions.
Yeah.
Which means you need smart people around you, Dean. Right. That's exactly what it is, where it goes. I got a question for you about school. And this thing's been popping up a lot, and you probably get asked a lot about it. Yeah. But the walkout recently, the high schools, that's
so outrageous.
It was nationwide. It was well funded by somebody.
It's really outrageous. The students and the teachers have precious First Amendment rights peacefully to protest. But they need to do it after school, not during school, which is set aside for the students to learn. And their salaries are paid by taxpayers because they want them to teach their kids. Not they don't intend to be paying them salaries to engage in political protest that they may not agree with.
You know, and I watched a lot of footage of nationwide, and these kids, I don't know about locally, but these kids are emulating exactly what they see in Minnesota and calling that protest, you know, to confront police officers, to use foul language and to throw things and all that. It's just, it breaks my heart.
It's terrible. One of the reasons I've been a very strong supporter of what we call school resource officers, police in the schools, which in the past 3 years I've increased from 190 to 565.
Wow.
To keep everybody safe, is because in addition to them keeping the students and the teachers and the staff safe, they're there all the time, so the kids get friendly with them, and their attitude toward police is for the rest of their lives is a lot better than it would otherwise be.
Probably more important in today's climate. than ever, because there has been a real shift in the climate politically and anger wise and disagreement and cancel culture and attacking and stuff. It's at the point of just very dangerous.
Yeah, it reminds me of Cato, the Roman politician who said, "Oh, the times, oh, the customs," meaning our culture has degenerated, and we know what he's talking about.
Yeah, and I think we're suffering from that. That doesn't mean it can't be, taken care of. But first, we have to admit the problem and recognize it.
Absolutely, and we need to feel compelled to work on it. I left a law practice where I made multiples more salary than I make in this job, but being able to work against these bad trends brings more satisfaction than any amount of money could bring.
Well, I think that's something wrong with our commander-in-chief, Trump. I think he did well without being president. He didn't need to be president to make a good living.
Right.
He did well. He wasn't without resources. And I think that makes some of our best leaders is the ones. Well, you look at the history of our country. George Washington was the richest president up until Trump. He was the richest, and yet he gave everything to his country. There was a patriotism. That we don't have enough of. It's still there.
And John Adams was separated from his family for decades, representing, and Benjamin Franklin representing the colonies in Europe to get help for the revolution.
Yeah, and those.
I meant to say Benjamin Franklin, not John Adams.
In those days, it wasn't a quick trip like I'll be back on this weekend or something.
It was a long, dangerous thing to cross the ocean and sailing ships.
Yeah, so you didn't just go over there for a weekend. It was quite a way. That was par for the course and for the time. On the kids leaving the high school, you don't really control policy at the level of the schools themselves.
That's right.
That's done by the boards.
Yeah, we're a local control state. The school boards do that, and I just hope they will. That there will be consequences for people doing the wrong thing.
Hopefully,
I don't more than hope. I advocate and I try to get them to do that.
Well, I remember during the whole nonsense of the boys in the girls' room and private places and all that. You were very strong advocate of unacceptability. That was unacceptable.
The governor of Arkansas hit a bullseye when she said, "We're in a war of the normal against the crazy," and I'm the only elected official in statewide office who's fighting hard for the normal against the crazy, including being in court fighting to keep boys out of girls' sports.
Yeah, and it still goes on. I mean, even though there's president has pushed it and done all that, threatened to withdraw money from schools that don't.
Well, it's an ongoing battle right now, and I'm fighting hard in that battle. And the attorney general won't represent me, which normally would be her duty, which I'm familiar with because previously I was attorney general. But she claims she has a conflict to represent me, which is not true. Conflict would be if she'd represented one of the parties. I represented people I didn't agree with because that was my duty.
Right.
But as a result, I have to use education money to fight this battle in court because the attorney general won't do anything.
It's tremendously unfortunate.
Yeah.
I want to point out that not all the high schools joined this protest, but particularly a Catholic high school didn't have anybody out there. So there can be policies in place that says not going to happen, guys.
Without question, it should be universal that school time is used for education. You want to do politics, you have the First Amendment right to do that after school.
Right. And for some reason, I don't think our superintendents, all of them get it. I don't think all of our teachers get it. And I don't think all our board members get it.
That's right. I mean, part of our problem is, some of our boards are very good and some of them, there's uneven quality. And so one of the things that I've worked hard is to help elect academically oriented people to school boards, because a lot of times very few people really know who's on the school board or who's running for it.
Yes, you're right.
And so last year when I was not up for re-election, I'm 4-year term. I'm up for election now. But last year, when I was not up for election, all my political energy went into raising money to help academically oriented candidates for school board.
During COVID, a lot of things changed in education. The homeschooling, the teleschooling, whatever you want to call it, through your
Right.
computer.
Which was a complete failure.
I think so. And it became very popular. And there's still a lot of policies from COVID that linger, hang on.
Mhm.
Kids can opt out, say, I don't want to go to school today, I'm just going to be on the computer, and get counted as present in the school system, in some of those systems.
Right.
How are we going to get through this and back to teaching? Because my understanding is test scores have suffered.
Yeah, well, we've learned that there's no substitute for personal teaching between a teacher and the students. Nothing else works as well.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, but that's up to, I think, local boards, local superintendents on putting.
Yeah, local school boards are really the policy makers for the school districts.
Yeah.
And I have some influence and I have some powers, but basically we're a local control state.
Yeah, but you've got a bully pulpit,
Yes.
basically,
Right.
and can come out and
Right.
and talk
I've been
about.
using it.
Yes, you have. You have, and something you've been a friend of the show and able to come on if you're out of town by phone, and
Yes.
you invited me to use your number anytime to call if I have
Yeah, you can call me anytime. you want.
anytime that there's issues that come up that need to be exposed,
Right.
and you don't hesitate to use mass media and radios or TV or whatever it is to get that message out there, and that's
I've done that a lot. In fact, the service that sends us recordings of when I'm on TV or radio um, judges the number of views or listeners that heard a program, and in the last 3 years, I've had something like 3 million of them.
okay. Well, that's huge because a lot of times you say we don't know who's running for the local boards of the schools. We don't know who's running for the board of superintendent for the state quite often. They're quite often not every voter is in tune with that.
Right.
They may know who's the president running, and after that, it diminishes.
Yes.
From governor down, and all of a sudden, and you get down to a superintendent. It doesn't get quite the attention that it deserves.
No, I get a lot more attention than the school board members do.
Oh yes.
I served on the school board for 24 years.
Oh, you did.
10 years.
Now, were you ever a teacher or just a lawyer?
I taught not at K-12, but in law school.
You did.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought because you have a passion for teaching.
I do. Yeah.
And I thought that's quite
I
possible.
do, and I advocate a lot to raise teacher salaries. We've got to do better. Right now, we're losing more teachers than are coming into the profession. And I've told the legislature every time I've given a state of education speech at the legislature, if we don't take strong action, meaning raising salaries and doing something to give incentives to administrators to support teachers on discipline, which is a big problem for them, then we could end up with no teachers if that trend continued. Imagine how the public would react to that. So we need to take strong action. And number one, we need to raise the teacher salaries. Number two, we need to pass a law to give administrators an incentive to support teachers on discipline, because a lot of teachers leave because the administrators don't support them and they have anarchy in their classes.
You mean just one from the kids? The kids are disrespectful or speak out.
Yeah.
During
kids will
class.
test
No respect.
the limits.
They
There
do.
have- If they,
That's what kids do, by the way.
if they, yeah, right. If they
Yeah.
break the rules, there have to
Yeah.
be consequences.
Correct.
And we have a lot of great administrators in our state, but we have some that have adopted the philosophy of a kid misbehaves. They say, "Oh, you poor darling, it's not your fault. You come from a tough family," or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's all wrong. Actions have to have consequences. During my 24 years on a school board, we never reversed a teacher once in 24 years. Not once in 24 years. We became known as the toughest district around. Our learning went up and our test scores went up.
Wow, that's a good consequence.
Yeah.
How are we going to get our test scores up now? I mean, I understand we're not doing well as we were before COVID, and then it wasn't as good as we wanted to be.
Yeah, well, I've got a number of things going, and I'll mention as many as you'd like. To start with, We have something called Project Momentum, where people from our agency go to schools, help the teachers with their teaching, help principals and superintendents with leadership. And one of their projects was take the bottom 5% of the schools. After a year, 80% of those schools were no longer in the bottom 5%.
Wow.
Kids in schools that have Project Momentum make twice as much progress as the other kids in reading and 3 times as much progress as the other kids in math. So that's been proven.
So there are things you can do from your level. And
Yes,
with
I'm doing a lot. That's, I often say the media like to focus on controversy, and I understand it's more interesting.
Sexy.
But people need to know that 90% of my time and effort and those in my department are dedicated to helping schools do better academically.
Quite often we hear this ratio coming out about the amount of money being spent in the classroom versus on overhead.
Yeah, that's a big deal to me.
It is a big deal, and it doesn't seem to be getting better. And I think our well-meaning legislatures at times put rules in place that require more, forms filled out, more record keeping, and it just increases the amount of staff instead of the amount of money spent.
Well, when I got a majority on my school board, the first thing we did was we cut the number of district employees in half. We sent them back to the classroom so we could focus our resources on raising teacher salaries. And I think that's what needs to happen statewide. When I was in the legislature, I had a bill to limit the district office to no more than 5% of the overall budget. We were at 2.5%, so I figured everybody could do it 5%, but I couldn't get it passed.
That's unfortunate, but it seems to be a constant. Of course, we're talking about public schools, not charter schools, and private schools are a total different deal.
Yes. And we did a study actually that showed that the schools that put more financial emphasis on teacher salaries and less on administration do better academically than the ones that spend a lot on administration.
And then you can attract, as you say, better teachers.
Yes.
Of course.
And no school can be better than its teachers.
Of course, it's all subjective.
That's true of the leadership too. You need good leadership. But you don't need to overspend to get good leadership. Some of them just have too many people.
Well, I've seen superintendents have 2 assistant superintendents, and principals have multiple assistant principals.
Right.
It must be nice, but I don't know what the workload is, and I've never worked the job, so I can't say for sure exactly that it's all wasteful. But it just seems like you've got too many paperwork going on, and not enough time in the classroom.
Exactly. Well, what I'm telling you is our study showed it. You do better academically if you put more money into teacher salaries and have less administrators.
Yeah.
Now, you do need good leadership from the administrators you have, no question about that. And we have a big program to help train leaders, a major program, and we've had 100% of them. We asked them at the end, "Would you recommend this to others?" And 100% have said yes.
Oh,
and so
you're talking like superintendent, principal level, those kinds
exactly.
of things.
And so that program has grown a lot, and we've had to have a lot more classes than we planned on because word got around as to how good our training is.
How is ESA working? I know you were an advocate for it. You still are?
Still are, yeah.
Yeah, because I know it's a political
Well, let me give you
struggle.
an example. We have a family with 3 kids. 2 of them are doing just fine in the district schools, but with the third one, his needs are not being met in the local.
I've had those third ones before.
And so now the parents can send him to another school that does meet his needs.
Right.
And I don't understand how anybody can say the parents don't have a right to do that unless they're so immersed in ideology that they lose sight of what's in the interest of the students.
There's big factions out trying to kill ESA, and they're very creative through legislating it to death and making record keeping a priority that would bog it down.
We've had it all along from the very beginning.
Yeah. And they tell lies. I just didn't know if you knew that.
No, I have to find it out.
Yeah. They tell lies about all this money wasted spent on cappuccino machines and spas and stuff, which just isn't true.
Well, there's a couple of things. My predecessor was a Democrat, and she was against ESA. She went door to door to get signatures against it. Even back then, they were trying to get an initiative to stop it.
Right.
And so whatever parents asked for, she gave them. And then, so there was some misspending. And then her friends at SOS, which is the anti-ESA group,
Save Our Schools.
Save Our Schools.
Yeah.
They would get that information and they would go on radio or TV and say, look how wasteful ESA is. They spend money on ski tickets or something like that.
Right.
So when I took office, I established 2 rules. Number 1, every expenditure must be for a valid educational purpose. And number 2, it must be a reasonable cost according to the market, sufficient to meet the needs of the student. And so we've said no to a lot of people, and they're bitter, and they come and complain at school board meetings and stuff. But I feel like I'm administering taxpayer funds, and I have to be sure the program is honest and accountable. And where some payments have been made under $2,000 that people took advantage of and wasn't a proper use, we get it back. The public needs to know that we've gotten back $1.2 million so far.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, the people that are anti-ESA, and they talk about whether it's misspent funds.
Yeah.
Are there ever misspent funds in the public schools?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we all know those stories because quite often that hits headlines.
Yeah.
When it's stupid.
Yeah.
It does, and they make it sound like they're super clean. I would guess, and I don't know this, that ESA is probably more monitored closely than the
there's no
public schools.
question. Every single government institution has some problems with fraud or mistakes. Perfection is not something of this earth, but we have to strive for it. And I've been very strict about it, and that's gotten a lot of protest against me, but I'm sticking to my guns.
Good, because ESA getting out of control would kill the program. I mean,
that's exactly right.
If somebody wanted to kill the program, get in office and let it be a free for all. Let money go out for ridiculous stuff to create an image, a marketing problem, and all that. And then people would say, "Yeah, let's get rid of it."
Right. That's what my Democrat predecessor tried to do.
Yeah, and it's not happening now. We need to make sure that we have people in that office that don't do it, because it's a great need. I mean, my son went to public schools.
Yeah.
And it worked for him very well.
Yeah.
And
My 4 children went to public school. I went to public school. My 4 children went to public school. I'm a great advocate of public schools, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work for everyone.
No, my daughter's out of control. She couldn't have made it. We had to put her in a Catholic school.
Yeah.
There was a real step up in discipline at the
Well, I'm working to try to correct that. We need to have discipline in our public schools. Absolutely.
Yeah, you couldn't tell the teachers what you were going to do and get away with it in some of the private schools. In fact, there were no cell phones and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I got cell phones out of the.
I saw that. Yeah, it surprised me it took as long as it did, but there needed to be a public opinion shift.
Well, I got it. It was my initiative. I got it passed by the legislature as a ban, and the governor vetoed it.
Yeah.
Why anyone would veto a bill like that is a mystery to me. Imagine what it's like to teach a class and have the kids scrolling on their cell phones. But whenever I did interviews like this, I would say, write the governor and ask her not to veto it the next time.
It worked.
And we got it passed the second time, and she signed it, and the cell phones now are out of the classrooms.
It worked. I can't imagine being a teacher and have to compete with that cell phone.
I mean, yeah, it's a horror, and teachers leave because of it.
Yeah.
Because we can't afford to have teachers leave.
We need them.
We need them. Yeah, as I mentioned, no school can be better than its teachers. That's number one.
I think so. We do have a high turnover, I would imagine.
Well, much too high, and so we have to solve some of these problems. Primarily salary, and support of discipline, to put a stop to it because it is really hurting the education of our kids.
You know, I used to talk to teachers, superintendents all the time. I visited
But
all.
you don't still?
I don't, and I used to visit all schools and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Teachers stopped talking to me for fear that they would say something that would get back to a principal or somebody, they would get disciplined. There was a fear if I'm walking through the park and someone's a teacher, I said, "Well, tell me something," and they would say, "No, I don't really want to talk about it," because it was a fear, and that sprung up maybe 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. A fear of speaking out would cause a disciplinary problem with the superintendents and stuff. And I never would have dreamed that would have been the case.
Yeah.
But there is, and I get teachers that call me at times saying, "Now, don't use my name," but
Right.
those kind of things, and they don't want to be singled out. I hope we can get through that to where there's sort of transparency,
I couldn't agree with you more.
and that we can talk openly about everything because we have nothing to hide.
Yeah, you can't know what's going on in an institution unless the people that are doing the most of the work speak out and say. So in my department, I have 600 people. I urge them all, anytime they want to express criticisms, I listen to them.
We had the superintendents for the high school come in here and talk about, the boys and girls room and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he sat there and told me, and I believed him, that he didn't know the issue.
He didn't?
Yeah, he didn't know.
Oh.
Some of the things I knew, I didn't know. He didn't know.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I had students coming to me.
Yeah.
And asking me for advice on which way to go, which is way over my head. I had to
Well,
make a lot of phone calls.
If he didn't know, he should have.
Right. So, that's a real disconnect that principals weren't calling or something because the schools knew.
Yeah.
They had to because these little girls were going.
I've gotten calls sometimes from superintendents asking for advice about that. And I say, if you allow boys and girls, people in the district schools are complaining about students leaving for ESAs or charter schools or open enrollment, whatever. If you allow boys and girls bathrooms, you're going to lose a lot of students because I know as a father, if one of my daughters told me that there were boys in the girls' bathroom, I'd move her to a different school.
That's correct. And I know people that did just that.
Yeah.
And I know people now that are saying, I've got to pull my kids out of public schools because I don't want them walking off campus to go and do protests on the street corners.
Right.
And
that was outrageous that they use school time for that. There's absolutely no excuse for using school time for protest. They have a right to protest peacefully.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Students as well as teachers have that right, but not during school time when they're supposed to be learning.
I talked to some Border Patrol and ICE agents that have kids in school. I said, "How was it for your child?" Well, he said, "Well, first of all, I'll tell you, they didn't go to the protest. We not get along with our parents on everything." But
was there a teacher there to teach him?
Yes, and I was told that one of these teachers, I don't know which school or the name, I don't need to know, lamented that it's too bad some kids stay because then that she had to stay in the classroom.
So
now, what kind of message is that, Stan?
Well, she's in the wrong profession.
Yes.
She should be dedicated to the education of students.
Yes, but it caused pressure for these kids that have parents in the profession of protecting our country.
Well, that should be honored.
Yeah, it should be honored, and it used to be more so than today. But
this is one of the reasons one of the reasons, not the main reason, but one of the reasons I'm such an advocate of police in our schools, because the kids get to know them, they get a much better attitude toward police.
We had the president speak at the State of the Union yesterday, and in the audience were a lot of representatives of their states that had buttons on their shirts that said "F ICE."
Was it just F or was it the word?
Yeah, it was the whole word. Yeah. I don't do that on the radio because FCC wouldn't let me. but what horrible messages that they're sending, that everyone's seeing, the youth and all that creates violence, it creates anger, it creates all of those things towards the very people that are protecting us.
Yeah, and it doesn't show a very good vocabulary either.
No. or morality or a lot of other things,
We
a
would
lot
like
of other issues.
we would like our country's leaders to have a good vocabulary.
Yeah, but we're seeing too much of that, and too much of that anger, and too much of that striking out that hurts our country, that hurts the kids, and gets them. Maybe it rallies them to a certain political ideology that they think, oh yeah, I want to belong to that ideology, and all that, because they're aggressive and they're able to speak out against the man, which we saw in the 60s and 70s, it's all that stuff. But I don't. I think that changes through.
Kids go through stages.
They do,
and so
I'm still going through them.
So sometimes they go through a rebellious stage, and then they calm down, and vice versa. Sometimes they start out as conservatives and they get more liberal as they get older.
Yeah, we find our own way, but we find our own way from influence of those around us. I mean, we gather information every day into that, and if we get caught in a bubble where we don't hear anything but one message, we become that. And I think that's been something that certain parties have done to try to keep this cancel culture. Don't talk to anybody that doesn't agree with you. Don't discuss things, and don't talk to your relatives if they voted for Trump.
You know what? If you don't discuss things, democracy cannot succeed, because democracy depends on people talking to each other, listening to each other, making their own decisions, but doing it with an open mind. And closed-minded fanaticism is not consistent with having a functioning democracy.
I don't know how you can make good decisions without a complete information. If you have half information, it's the same as a lie.
Yeah, John Adams wrote very eloquently on this subject in the Massachusetts Constitution, which was written before the U.S. Constitution, and he did it single-handedly. And he made this point: is that democracy cannot succeed unless people talk a lot, communicate a lot, and are well educated. Those things are necessary to have a thriving democracy.
Well, we have too much education now that is trying to limit what we do and know, and trying to exclude. And they started on college campuses and all that. Charlie Kirk broke through that and was able to get on. But Ann Coulter before him would go on, and college campuses would kick her off because it wasn't a message they wanted to hear. Charlie Kirk was able to break through that.
Yes,
and they killed him for it.
Yeah.
But we need more Charlie Kirks, and we need to communicate. That's all it's about. It's listening and talking.
And communication needs to go both ways.
Yes,
but it needs to be civil.
Yes,
and it needs to be open, and people need to be free to do it without consequence.
Yes,
and if you don't have that, you end up moving more toward totalitarianism rather than democracy.
Colleges started putting in safe zones in their schools, which I always laughed about.
Yeah, right.
I would go to AWC, and I was friends with the superintendent or the college professors and stuff, and I'd say, I'm starting to feel a little anxious. Where's your safe zone? And of course, there never was one.
Yeah,
here at AWC.
Right. Well, you have really good schools, and
I really do like the AWC programs. I think they're really here built exactly as they're supposed to be to give the community its needs, whether that's nursing or technical, whatever it is.
I'm going from here after this radio program is over to honor the Desert View Academy for excellent academics. And some time ago, I went to the Gowan Science Academy because they also have excellent academic results. You have a lot of schools here with excellent academic.
We really do. And we have great opportunities here. And I think ESA opens up all opportunities to everybody, creates a competition.
Yes.
That should make it stronger.
Competition is the key to success.
Yeah.
That's why the United States was prosperous and the Soviet Union was poor, because we have competition. So people work hard to compete. They produce a lot and we can consume a lot. In Poland, they used to say, we pretend to work and they pretend to pay us. And with that attitude, you don't produce much, you don't get to consume much.
Yeah.
And the same is true in education. When schools have to compete with other schools, they perform better.
Tom Horn, superintendent for public education. You have a website, I take it?
Yes, azed.gov.
And you're looking for signatures, looking for...
I passed them. I handed them in already.
Okay.
First, day you could do it, 11 a.m. Over 13,000. You only did 7,500.
Well, you're an
I was
overachiever.
blessed with a lot of wonderful volunteers helping me out.
Well, and you're well known. You've been around for a while.
For a while,
You know,
yeah.
held a few jobs there statewide. Well, I appreciate your time and appreciate all you're doing for the state of Arizona.
Well, I appreciate you. I love doing interviews with you, and please call me anytime.
Thank you, sir. You take care. Dean and I will be back to discuss something less important. AM 560.
What's up, Yuma, and hello, Russ Clark Show listeners. Johnny Porter here, and I just made the switch to Allo Fiber, and it's a game changer. Lightning fast speeds for streaming, working from home, and gaming. No buffering or slowed down speeds. It's time to ditch the glitch and switch to Allo Fiber.
The Great American RV Roadshow Super Sale returns to Yuma Fairgrounds with monster savings and a massive selection.
Explore millions of dollars of new and used inventory with aggressive roadshow clearance prices.
Shop and save on everything from affordable towables to luxury Class A diesel pushers.
This is one of the world's largest traveling RV sales, so get here early to score the best deals.
Whatever you do, don't miss the Great American RV Roadshow Super Sale.
Thursday through Sunday at the Yuma County Fairgrounds.
Presented by RV Country.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term.
Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Approaching record-setting high temperatures now for this week. 95 expected today. 10 to 15 mile per hour winds. Clearing 63 tonight. 95 and sunny tomorrow. 66 tomorrow night. Sunny and 97 on Friday.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
I spent years living in fear of calcium oxalate crystal stones, always afraid of when the next one would hit. Now I just take Kidney Cop.
Battling calcium oxalate stones? It's time to try Kidney Cop, a doctor-recommended kidney supplement that has been shown in laboratory tests to reduce the growth rate of calcium oxalate crystals by 99%. Get Kidney Cop today at Amazon.com, Walmart.com, or KidneyCop.com.
Listen to KBLU from 8 to 9 every Monday morning to Life, Death, and the Law. Sean Garner and Adam Hansen discuss estate planning options. Learn how you can plan your estate using a will or trust to protect your family and secure your legacy. That's Life, Death, and the Law every Monday, 8 to 9 a.m. on 560 KBLU.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term.
Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
This is as real as it gets. Get up, get kids up, feed the dog, feed the kids, out the door, work, pick up kids, dinner, bath, bed, repeat. You strive all day to make life better for them. So why not make life better for you? Get Strive-free checking at Avenir Financial. No frills, no fuss, no monthly fee. Open a Strive-free checking today at AvenirFinancial.org. Certain restrictions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
Today, we're talking with aphids and whiteflies about Safina insecticide from BASF.
We just got nailed with it.
So tell us, how you feeling?
Really, really weird.
And you still want to devour this field?
No way, bro.
There you have it, folks. Safina insecticide is specifically engineered to disorient aphids and whiteflies so they can't eat. And when they can't eat, they can't destroy.
They'll protect your alfalfa from aphids with Safina insecticide. Always read and follow label directions.
March 6th through the 8th, it's the 33rd annual Midnight at the Oasis. An entire weekend of food, entertainment, and hundreds of classic cars and trucks with the rally on Main Street Thursday evening, March 5th. Friday, the gates open at noon for the show and shine, and at 4:30, hundreds of the cars will be cruising to Yuma from Cocoa Park Casino. It's the 33rd annual Midnight at the Oasis. An entire weekend of food, entertainment, and hundreds of classic cars and trucks.
There's a man in D.C. He's 6'3".
AM 560 KBL. You, Russ Clark, with you. Dean's here.
Glad to be here.
Okay, you mentioned on the interview, I should have explained what ESA was.
Yeah, just short explanation.
Just short explanation. Well, that's alternative schools, actually. It's I forget what the ESA stands for. It's an acronym.
I'm sure the E is for education.
Probably. But basically, home schools, private schools, all those kind of things, you can get in those, and the state will fund you versus the public schools.
Right. Even though the funding is significant, but it's less than what they pay in the public school.
Correct. If you leave a public school, it's around $14,000 that the state pays the public school.
Right.
If you go to ESA, the maximum you're going to get is like $7,500.
Right.
And you don't even get that unless you have receipts for it.
Right.
And no, your teacher, which is your mom or your dad, doesn't get paid.
Right. But it does open up a lot of possibilities.
Oh my gosh, it's wonderful. I mean, it's really good. And I've stated before that my daughter, I sent her to the Catholic high school at her request. She really wanted the discipline. She just couldn't study. And it cost me a lot. It was like $6,000 a year. That's back when they first opened. And I had to pay the 100% of that. I didn't get any help from anywhere,
Right.
And I was in a position I could afford it. But I remember at the time I thought, this is great because my daughter needs it. But what about the families whose daughter has a daughter that needs it and can't afford it?
Right. Exactly. So, and I recall many reading biographies of people who had trouble with discipline or whatever, and their families were well-to-do, and they sent them off to some military school.
Yeah, like Trump.
And a lot of people said that was the best thing that ever happened to them.
That's exactly what happened to Trump. Trump went to a military school for high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, and his parents thought he was out of control, maybe.
I don't know I don't recall reading that, but it might have been.
Yeah. No, he was. I remember saying that. That's why he has some military type education, like.
He absorbed a tremendous amount of that. It's been very helpful to him.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's the real deal. Phone lines are open 928-344-5258. Hockey team was a lot of fun. I don't know if you saw the phone call with Trump in the locker room, but it was spontaneous.
I did not see that, but I did see the hockey team at the State of the Union.
It was great. It was a celebration. They had some Corona, I think it was on. Was it Corona? I think so, on the table. I mean, the hockey players are of age, and Cash Patel was there, and he was invited in by the hockey team because he's a fan. And then he just popped Trump on the phone, so it was all impromptu, but it was so well done.
Yes,
so well done, and such a uplifting moment because it was, the Canadian team was favored.
Well, yes. I mean, hockey is their national sport. They're good at it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no honor in winning against a poor opponent. The Canadian team was a fantastic team. We just did a little better.
Well, President Trump, wants to give an award to that goalie. The goalie, I guess, made 41 saves or something.
Yeah, incredible.
Sometimes something amazing that kept the score tied 1-1.
Right.
And that's how it went into sudden death.
Right.
And then outscored. So he's given an award to that thing, which is just fun and noteworthy and patriotic, I guess. These guys really wrapped themselves in flag. And I think for them to go to the State of the Union, they had to all agree, all or nobody.
Right. Well, as I recall, President Trump saying it, is I put it up for vote. He says, my vote is more important than theirs, but I told them, if anybody disagrees, I won't do it. And that was about giving the award to the goalie.
He invited the women's, but that rumor that they didn't want to come is not true. It's just scheduling, and they are going to schedule to go to the White House.
That's what I recall.
Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Good morning, Russ and Dane. How we doing?
We're doing well, Carl. Good morning, man.
Mr. Tom Horn, I want to say thank you very much for the program that he's putting on. It's called Trust but Verify.
Probably, yeah. I think it's a lot of that.
That's what I got from the man. So, and I think that's what we need in it, and I think that's what's going to happen.
He puts a little fear in me. Like our ESA program is so strong that the Democrats, even though they're the governor, the attorney general, that are trying to crush it, can't, and it's because of him right now that it's not being crushed. But if we have a Democrat in that seat, they could let the bookkeeping get out of control, discredit the entire program, and give opportunity to crush it.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what they're trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, something that's working good. And there's a lot, the Tea Party people in Yuma, they know what the facts really are, because when we see students that are ESA and high schools, there's a lot of difference in their knowledge and what's going on.
Yeah.
They're better taught than they are in the high schools and stuff like that. To me, when government is in there trying to brainwash our children, if you want to use that right word, to change their way of thinking, that's not their job. The school's job is reading, writing, and arithmetic. End of story.
Well, and we pay taxes and we have a say, but we get that say by who we elect into office, and the local board is stronger and more important than the state board as far as local direction, local policy, and how we're going to operate locally. And I don't know that we paid enough attention to that over the years, but if anything's going on in that school, it's our local board that can fix it.
Yeah.
And we have to have the right people there to do it.
We just did one of them called David Laura.
Yeah, he is a pain, but I like him.
And how about Veteran Dave and Jeff Stoner?
Yeah, yeah.
Those people are pretty strong on saying, hey, we don't need any boys in the girls' bathroom.
Yeah.
So
and we're better for it. And I can tell you that superintendents in the past, because nobody wants to run for the school board. It's in the past they have it anyway. It was fun. It was hard to find people. Mel was always on the school board. He kept saying, "Okay, this is my last year, and then it would become time to vote, and nobody signed up to run for it. So he would write as a run-in with one vote would win.
Yeah,
it's not that way now. Now we've got a real, ideology competition, and whatever. But in the past, a lot of superintendents get their friends to sign up to run.
Sure.
Yeah.
So they load the board with buddies.
And it's easier to just let the superintendent do what they want instead of monitoring what's going on in the school.
That's on any board. You let the executive just do it. Yeah.
Well, there's some questions that have to be asked with what they did with their protest. That was not going to be over for a while.
Right.
So anyway, you guys have a very, very good day.
Thank you, sir. You too. Bye-bye.
Is this not hump day?
Oh, yes, it is. It's Wednesday. I haven't mentioned it. I apologize for that. All right.
No, we're good. I'm retired and I forgot it might be hump day.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye. All right. I've got this young lady trying to call me. Golden Girly. I don't know who that is, but I gave her my phone number.
Oh,
give me a call. She's the one that wanted me to call out the shout out to Mary Joanna. So she's got to be a kid that has been around a while, because that's an old joke.
Well, old jokes propagate.
Maybe that's it. Anyway, the women's team won gold medal. Also, they don't get as much, attention. The boys' teams get a lot more attention. I mean, those are the bigger physical, and they attract more visitors, more people that want to watch it, more spectators. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
Same in basketball, the NBA versus the WNBA,
right.
Those kinds of things. But let's not forget them. And Trump did not, and he included him, but he's getting beat up on it a little bit, saying he's anti-woman because he didn't, and you fill in the blanks, anything stupid.
Yeah, well, people who are opposed to Trump will try to find anything they can to
they're
make
saying
a
that,
controversy.
they're saying that the hockey team snubbed Trump, didn't want to go see him or something.
Yeah, I read that, but
it's not true.
Sounds like it's not correct.
The women's team declined the invitation because previously scheduled academic professional commitments. Remember, they're college students, a lot of them. Unlike the guys, they were more professional. We are sincerely grateful for the invitation extended to our gold medal winning U.S. women's hockey team, and deeply appreciate the recognition of the extraordinary achievement. Due to the timing and previously scheduled academic and professional commitments following the games, the athletes are unable to participate. They were honored to be included and are grateful for the acknowledgement. Now, that came from the USA Hockey.
Yeah.
That's they sent that, and they do say that they're putting it together to come visit them at the White House, where they can all get together on a schedule.
Correct.
So I like to just, and the left just runs off, and I don't know how they just do that. They just don't have.
Well, they're so used to being in control of the narrative that they think they can get away with any kind of lie.
But this stuff is readily available. It's just a matter of picking it up. Well, they could make the call. They know how to get a hold of all that.
What I'm saying is
they don't want to know.
They used to be able to get away with anything. Now they can't.
Yeah.
And so it's habit. And I think they lied to themselves too, saying, well, it wasn't that our allies and buddies and friends controlled everything. It was we were right. No, that isn't the case. It was because your allies and ideological buddies controlled the narrative.
Yeah. Jasmine Crockett, I just want to mention that she was not there, which is unfortunate because she's always colorful. I'd like to see her walking around with her F-ice button or something.
Whatever.
But she boycotted. And that originally was going to be a mass boycott of the Dems. So they wanted to show nothing but empty seats, which is okay. That just shows the anger and how they.
Well, it's in a disrespect for the whole idea of a representative democracy and republic.
Right. Not disrespect to the president, which is what they're trying to do. It's to the entire republic.
Yeah.
I mean, they were put in by the constituents that voted them in to represent, but they're only going to do it if they have the right timing or the right people in the room. It's crazy because representing is hard, and you're not always going to have the right people in the room.
Right.
Well, she said that Trump's a wannabe king. That's why she didn't go. But that plays with her base. Yes.
I guess. I mean, it's just not true. I mean, I look at Trump, it appears to me he has much more concern for following the rules of the Constitution than the previous administration.
Well, he did mention that he was disappointed with the Supreme Court decision, but I didn't take that nearly as disrespectful as what Barack Obama pointed out.
Well, right. I mean, and Trump, I was pleased to see that he mentioned, it was an unfortunate decision.
Sure.
But it didn't appear to me he was really bashing the Supreme Court.
No, but he and they're used to dissension, and believe me, they don't vote unanimous on things.
Well, it was a 6-3 decision, and one of the justices that I think is one of the best, Clarence Thomas, dissented strongly from the decision. So it wasn't absolutely clear cut. It was obvious disagreement on it.
She described the President's State of the Union as grim. And tonight I will boycott Donald Trump's State of the Union address. So she put it out there in a statement. Instead of wasting time listening to Donald Trump lie to the American people, I will be back in Texas talking to families about the true state of our union, cuts to SNAP and Medicaid, rogue ICE agents on our streets, the Epstein cover-up, attacks on the First Amendment, and the unlawful tariffs that have made life too expensive for Texans. There's every one of those is a problem for me.
Yeah.
Yes, there has been cuts to SNAP. In fact, Trump bragged about it.
Yeah.
They've been very successful at getting a number of people off of food assistance.
Yeah.
And that's a positive.
Right.
She sees it as a negative. We need more people on food assistance.
Exactly.
There were cuts to SNAP that were going to people illegally.
Yes.
Fraud was cut a lot and probably not done. So that's a good thing. She sees it as a bad thing.
Right.
Medicaid, same thing. Fraud. A lot of fraud in Medicaid. And that was also cut in some areas. And now he's asking for states, which states control Medicaid as far as administering.
Right.
And then they get reimbursed by the federal government. The federal government pays for it.
Right.
And they're asking the states to show the paperwork.
Right.
And some states have said nope.
Well, and what we see is that some of the states have been using Medicaid as a piggy bank.
Yes.
And they basically are doing things with no or very little control as a way to bring in more federal money into the state, even though it's almost certainly fraudulent.
Well, it's also illegal to give Medicaid to illegal aliens.
Right.
Some states have openly done that and then charged the federal government for it.
Yes.
Talks about rogue agents on the street. I don't know what the rogue agents, ICE agents are on the street. I don't know. That's just
It's this image the left is trying to create. They're trying to bash ICE and make them out to be doing things that are really horrible. But John Lott wrote an article about this, and he looked at how many mistakes were being made by ICE today compared to during the Barack Obama regime. And for the number of arrests being made, the Obama regime was making 3 times as many mistakes.
That's not going to get out there. And believe me, these guys are under great pressure, great. I mean, they're handling real problems. They're going after criminals, known criminals. And then they get, in Minnesota, you get people chanting, screaming, yelling.
Exactly.
And it makes a tense and dangerous situation worse.
Yes. You cannot do hundreds of thousands of things and not have mistakes. You're going to have mistakes.
Well,
and then so what happens?
Only if you're human.
Is the media or the left concentrates on those very few mistakes, and they try to make it as if that is the ordinary state of affairs.
Like that's the norm, and it's not. And it's unfortunate. And the fact that 2 people have died is unfortunate and terrible for everybody. But when they look at that, it's not that the ICE broke protocol or rules. It's that they were put in a situation where they perceived life in danger and they had to make it. I'm out of time. I got to run. So I can't let you talk. We'll be right back. AM 560 KVLU.
This is News Talk 560 KVLU, Yuma.
Iran responds. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. What President Trump said in his State of the Union address.
I will never allow the world's #1 sponsor of terror, which they are by far, to have a nuclear weapon.
Saying he prefers diplomacy with more U.S.-Iran direct talks tomorrow, but he has threatened to take military action.
An Iranian foreign ministry spokesman says President Trump's speech contains big lies. Esmail Fakhey denying claims about his country's nuclear program, ballistic missiles, and the number of casualties during January's unrest. He also alleged that at least 32,000 people were killed in the protests, 10 times the number admitted by Iran.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. The State of the Union address was the longest ever, about an hour and 48 minutes.
I can say with dignity and pride that we have achieved a transformation like no one has ever seen before.
The president touting a roaring economy and lower inflation and a new tariffs. So Democrat states Americans paying those costs. And in their official response, Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberg said he lied and scapegoated and distracted.
Is the president working to make life more affordable for you and your family? We all know the answer is no.
More than 70 Democrats boycotted the speech in Congress. Others who were there shouted at the president at times. Democratic Senator John Fetterman did not. Even Jonathan Sheard at times and tells Fox.
The constant kinds of yelling and screaming and holding up signs and doing all these things. I don't care if it's a Republican or Democrat as president. Just don't do that.
The president last night also paid tribute to special guests, awarding a Congressional Medal of Honor to Royce Williams, a 100-year-old World War II fighter pilot, and to the National Guard member shot and wounded in Washington in November, Andrew Wolf. He gave out something else.
It's called the Purple Heart.
The Purple Heart also awarded to the family of the soldier shot and killed that day, Sarah Beckstrom. Americans listening to Fox News. Let me share Brian's story. He's in Alabama, and he wrote it. Glenn, after taking Relief Factor for just 3 weeks, at least 90% of my pain is gone. My pain had started to limit me at work and at home, and I am amazed at the relief that I have gotten. Those are Brian's own words, and they speak volumes about what Relief Factor can do. And I've seen that kind of transformation in myself. Hearing Brian's experience reinforces why I endorsed Relief Factor so seriously. Before I started taking Relief Factor myself, I was losing hope that I could ever have a normal life, and my hands were in so much pain. It's created by doctors, a 100% drug-free product using 4 key ingredients. It supports the body's natural inflammatory response. Hundreds of thousands of people have ordered Relief Factor, and like Brian and me, over 2/3 of these people go on to order more month after month. So don't wait. You're dealing with pain. Launch your 3-week quick start and see what Relief Factor can do for you. Call 800-4RELIEF or go to relieffactor.com. Don't wait anymore. Feel what it's like to be out of pain. 1-800-4-RELIEF.
From the Netherlands Information Desk, I'm Tina Aguilera. One person is dead following a motorcycle crash in Lima. Lima police responded to a crash at the intersection of Palo Verde Street and Avenue 3E on Monday night. YPD says a 64-year-old man riding a motorcycle crashed into a car driven by a 32-year-old man. Police add that this is the latest of several motorcycle crashes in Yuma this year. The motorcycle rider was taken to ambulance, where he later died. No injuries were reported from the driver or passenger of the other vehicle. An investigation is underway. Plus, a mobile home caught on fire Tuesday afternoon in the Yuma foothills and happened around 2 p.m. on 39th Place near Foothills Boulevard. Rural Metro says the fire started from an electric panel and quickly spread to several kitchen appliances. No injuries were reported. Catch the TV side on News 11 every weekday at 5, 6, and 10 p.m. for your latest local news, weather, and sports.
There's a man in.
Hey, I'm 560 KBLU. Rough Guard with you, Dean's here.
Glad to be here.
I have a caller if you're still there. You're on the air.
Yes, I'm here, Russ. Thank you for putting me on real early, okay?
Oh, good morning.
Yes, sir. Listen, what a Trump masterpiece of genius last night.
Just beautiful.
Yes, a masterpiece of genius. This is the front door of his campaign for the midterms. And what all the other Republicans need to do is repeat everything that he recited last night.
Well, and they should. He is the leader of the Republican Party, not just the country.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, those Democrats told us who they were last night. They're a bunch of freaking communists for us. I've been telling you this for a couple of years.
Yes, you have.
Yes, I have. If listen, only a communist, an atheist, would not celebrate America's accomplishments that Trump has bestowed on us. They have to sit it out because he is destroying the Communist Party in this country. Trump is.
Yeah.
And I wish people would stop. I understand now. I understand people are obligated to the corporatist that owns the radio stations and news media. I understand it. Now, I'm not talking about you now. But I wish that people would stop the term leftist, extreme left. These are flat out Marxists and communists and Muslims that are taking over the country. Did you see the reaction of Elmar, or whatever their freaking name is? The one with the headdress.
Elon Omar.
Yeah. I don't even want to know her name. I really don't. But she should have been expelled and deported years ago.
Well, if she lied on her application, then that's the theory. You're right.
Yeah.
That would make that not effective.
Well, I find that really odd because you got what's his name, Carr out there, Brendan Carr. He's supposed to be the head of the FCC, doing absolutely nothing. Look at Bad Buddy. He just went away. Look at Rock Nation. Jay-Z Carter just went away. See, Jay-Z Carter is the guy that arranges every contract, that arranges every halftime show. Most people don't even know that. And so they're downgrading football. Now, the black players, 74% of them, are still abusing our freaking wonderful flag, the Star Spangled Banner, and our flag.
Yeah.
Anthem. And all you gotta do is watch them at every football game. They don't put their hand on the heart. They don't salute. They do nothing. And they rock back and forth, moving back and forth like they're bored. And the hatred is there. And I do not know why.
It's hard to say. I don't know either.
And then 77% people, 77% of black people now, folks, do not forget, they voted for the Marxist Kamala Harris wholeheartedly. That is out there on the internet. Just look it up. There's not just me saying that. And I don't hate black people. I just deliver facts. In some circles, they call me the truth sayer. And that's more than most people can say about themselves. I'll tell you that right now. Yeah. But anyway, but 67 million zombies voted for this Kamala Harris and that little freaking runt from Minnesota.
Yeah.
I normally call him a little commie runt from Minnesota.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I don't have hatred. I can call people names like Trump does. He's famous for it,
Yeah, but yesterday seemed his highlight, the best speech I've seen from him, and that's saying a lot. He does a great job overall when he gets a mic. But this one,
Russ,
I think he got things done he wanted accomplished.
Russ, We don't have that kind of energy that this guy's got. He's got a wife. He's got Mar-a-Lago. All he got 5 kids, and he's running the country, and he's changing over the economic system. He's fighting the monarchies because they are the ones that set up. See, we were a donor nation to all the monarchies. That's what we were. We've been that since 1776. King Edward, I believe it was.
Yep.
We carried on his freaking property taxes. See, they have property taxes all over the monarchies. That is where the king still got a hold of your real estate. He's still the boss. And we got that right now where the government is still the boss. I sold my home in Las Vegas, Russ, for $762,000 because, and that was a discount, because I couldn't afford the $10,000 a year in property taxes after I knew I saw my retirement coming. Because, see, I don't get Social Security or that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just make it out of my own pocket. And I wasn't going to waste $10,000 of my personal funds on property taxes. I just sold it and I moved to Yuma. I love Yuma. I really do.
Yep.
Contrary to what some people might think. But if I didn't like it, I got the money to leave tomorrow, tonight, right now. You know what I'm saying?
Your home has a motor on it. So, yeah, you can go anywhere you want.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've kind of got a more fixed residence, but I just don't want to say what it is right now.
Yeah.
But I did buy a condo up in Prescott, just in case.
Oh.
But it's an investment because, Prescott, average home price up there is like $400,000. I don't know if you're aware of that or not.
No.
It's a hot spot.
Yeah.
Pardon?
I said it's a hot real estate spot there. Real estate is hot in Prescott.
We lost him. So
too bad.
I don't think he lost him, but it's limited property. I mean, you can't
It's a very
expand
popular
much.
place.
Yeah, it is popular.
Got much better climate.
Yeah. Getting back to Jasmine, it's good to hear from OG, but getting back to Jasmine Crockett a little bit, we're going through some of her diatribe here about him spewing lies and everything. But he says she gave a laundry list of things that she didn't want to hear about Trump. She said the Epstein cover-up, and I saw people with tags on their shirt about Epstein cover-up, as if Trump's covering something up.
It's just bizarre.
Ridiculous. Well, Biden was in there for 4 years, and they had a look at all that stuff. If there was something with Trump in there, they would have exposed it like crazy.
And Trump has presided over the making public the releasing of millions of documents.
But they want to create this Epstein cover-up image.
It's just bizarre.
Crazy. Attack on First Amendment, I think that's talking about Mark Kelly. Remember, Kelly did that video where they were telling military you don't have to follow the Trump's orders and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was kind of they tried to walk a fine line, and Hegseth said, "No, we're not going to have this. You went over the top."
And Kelly's the only one because he was the only one in a position that was receiving money from the military that had to follow military protocol.
Right.
And they said, "Look, we're gonna punish you for it. You're gonna lose some rank and all that stuff." And then he went to a federal judge outside military,
right?
And the federal judge says you can't do it, which is kind of interesting to me because I thought military would control that. But
my understanding is that you can always go through the UCMJ, the military justice system,
which he didn't do,
and then you can appeal to an outside judge.
Well, he went right to the outside judge, and it looks like Hegseth and the military, the Department of War, the U.S. Navy, the Navy Secretary John Palin, has all said we're going to go to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia on behalf of Hegseth. So they are going to challenge the court ruling, which is one person,
right?
And I know the articles I read on it are taking that one person as if it's gospel from somebody that wrote the Constitution or something. It's one judge.
Well, and judges are human, and they often have points of view, and you have some ability to judge shop and try to get a judge who has your point of view.
Correct.
If you choose the court.
You're not supposed to, but that is the way it's been working.
It happens a fair amount.
So they're going to the U.S. Court of Appeals and said that we have the legal authority and everything, and that didn't come out right away. That took a month to come out.
Right.
So they really took their time on reviewing that before they did it, before they came out with it. So looks like they're going to. And I don't know if they reviewed it and got all the right answers or whatever, but at least it wasn't a knee-jerk reaction. It wasn't an emotional, deal. It looks like they went through it.
I think this administration has been one of the most thoughtful and rational administrations I have ever seen. It is amazing the level of people that they have in this administration.
Yeah.
I mean, the intelligence and the knowledge is just way above almost anything I've seen for decades.
It's got to be, it's a well-packed cabinet of just brilliant people.
Yes.
And that's not always the way it works out.
No.
Mark Kelly, it was asked about, the fact that the military is going after the U.S. Court of Appeal. He said, these guys don't know when to quit. A federal judge told Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth that they violated my constitutional rights and chilled the free speech of millions of retired veterans. There is only one reason to appeal that ruling: to keep trampling on free speech rights of retired veterans and silence dissidents. I went to war to defend Americans' constitutional rights, and I don't back down from this fight, no matter how far they want to take it.
I'm not a fan of Mark Kelly.
I am not. They showed him quite a bit on the TV. I was watching the Fox version. They get one camera feed, generally all of them, but they choose which camera to look at. And Kelly was in there quite a bit, not standing, frowning. He's a progressive. And I don't know what's going to happen to this thing, but I'm glad it gets appealed and gets to more judges and whatever. And who knows? Who knows? They mention in this article about U.S. District Judge Richard Leon, he's the one that made the decision that the Pentagon was out of bounds and can't do that. And in his ruling, he wrote that Kelly is likely to succeed the merits of the free speech claim, and found he demonstrated irreparable harm. Now, that was the opinion of Leon.
Right.
And to the Court of Appeals, it's going to go up to three judges.
Yeah, there'd be a 3-judge panel at probably the Court of Appeals in D.C.
It is.
And I don't know which way it'll go. From the beginning, I have said this is a complicated case because Kelly is a senator.
Correct.
And as a senator, he has a heightened level of protection for his speech, but he's also a military officer who's retired.
Well, they're looking at it through the lens of just military officer and not putting that complexity in there.
So we will see what happens. It's to me, I would not have seen it as a slam dunk either way.
But usually senators are protected if they say it on the Senate floor.
Right.
That's not what he did.
If you read the Constitution, it's while Congress is in session. It's not just on the floor. It's when they're traveling to or from and while Congress is in session.
Well, I say that because it's been, and I don't know, I'm certainly not a legal scholar, but it's been mentioned many times before that they say it on the floor for the protection, and they won't say it in the hallway. The cameras are on necessarily.
I believe it's a full level of protection from the time they start traveling to Congress until
I certainly don't have the knowledge to argue one way or the other.
That's my understanding from the
But
Constitution.
Harry Reid was famous for saying it. Like he would go on the Senate floor and tell you that his opponent didn't pay any income tax.
Yeah, that's the famous one for Harry.
Yeah, didn't pay any income tax at all.
It's just wrong. It was a lie.
It was a lie. And then when the lie surfaced, they asked him, he said, well, we won, didn't we? What difference does it make? We won.
Bragging about his Machiavellian attitude.
Yeah, so there's a lot of that goes on that's unfortunate. I just despise it.
Well, and it's harder to get away with now because there's so much media out there. Everybody has a cell phone. I expect everything to be recorded at a public meeting. I try to act as if everything I say over the telephone is recorded.
I think that's safe. Makes you safe. Jasmine Crockett, get back there. I see something else in here. After the Epstein cover, the First Amendment, which we just discussed, and that has to do with Kelly, I'm quite sure. Unlawful tariffs that have made life too expensive for Texans. Now, that has been discredited hugely by economists, by economists, and economists that hated the tariffs and predicted gloom and boom, and have come back and said, I was wrong. But yet we got Crockett, who is not a scholar in any way.
And she's using the recent Supreme Court ruling to say that they are or were unlawful
Yes.
because the Supreme Court agreed with her. Well, you can't dispute that. That's what the Supreme Court said. But she makes it sound as though there wasn't a serious argument about it.
But part of her argument is it makes it too expensive. It has not done that.
No, I think we've seen it's just the opposite.
Yes. And we're collecting a lot of money that we wouldn't have otherwise. Right. And that may help us in the future. Trump addressed that during the speech.
He did.
And he talked about, the tariff specifically on how much it's helped,
right?
Spur on business and investment, and actually enough money that maybe income taxes may be, have to lighten up on income taxes.
Well,
they talked about eliminating it. I don't see that happening anytime soon, but it may change income tax.
It may. Now, we lived off tariffs. Tariffs funded the federal government for about 180 years. So maybe a little bit less because about 1912, I think they put in the income tax. But we did live off them. But we had a much smaller government back then. But we have a lot more tariffs now. So I'm not saying it's impossible, but it isn't going to happen real fast.
No, but it may start showing some relief. And tariffs. And this reminds me when I had a shop in Mexico. I actually had a store down there, a Napa store, and I had to pay sales tax up front before the merchandise was sold.
Yeah. Okay. So it was more of an import tax or whatever.
Yeah. So when I took merchandise across the border, I had to pay 10% of the value of everything. So that when I sold it, I collected the tax back, but not until I sold it. I had to pay the tax up front. And that reminded me a little bit of what Trump's doing with the tariffs. I mean, it is different because it is sales tax, but I had to pay for it up front and then take it. But I didn't have to sell it for more money down there because it was already part of the sales tax. Now, the tariffs aren't part of the sales tax they're going to charge, but you're paying a tariff at a wholesale level of 10%, which is not retail, so maybe 5%. And what they're finding is a lot of the manufacturers are absorbing it.
Yes.
You're not seeing a lot of it. And if you are seeing it, it's not even going to be what the inflation was under Joe Biden.
And something I did not see at the State of the Union, I don't think it was there, either side is acknowledging the terrible problem we have with the deficit and the debt.
Yeah.
We have to stop this, and yet people aren't talking about it.
Trump mentioned it in the speech a little bit about getting to the point where, we're going to be self-sufficient and be able to bring
good
balanced budgets and stuff. So it's not escaped him at all. And I know you didn't watch the entire thing.
Right. Did
you see the part where he took a jab at Pelosi?
I did not.
Oh man, I'll tell you about it. It's going to ruin it for you, but I'll tell you anyway.
That's okay.
He was talking about insider trading at the lectern. That was part of his speech about making it a law.
Yes.
That families of representatives themselves and families cannot profit from investment from insider trading, which should be a law. Now that did get people stand up on the left and the right, which kind of shocked him. And
I'm surprised.
And he even pointed it out. He says, let's also ensure that members of Congress cannot corruptly profit from using insider information. And both sides stand. And so he said, they stood up for that. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Did Nancy Pelosi stand up? Is she here? Well, now she was there.
Oh, she was?
She was there.
Did she stand up?
Don't know. But
I would expect she would.
This article says that she was applauding anyway until Trump mentioned her name.
Yeah.
And then she stopped applauding. But it doesn't say whether she stood up or not. But it's the Stop Insider Trading Act. It was introduced by Representative Brian Steele. And it would ban members of Congress, their spouses, and dependent children from purchasing publicly traded stock and require advance public notice before any sale. And it's aiming to go beyond the 2012 Stock Act's reporting requirements.
Yeah, and there's more than one version of this out there, I understand. And there's some disagreement about what particulars and how much it'll apply to the executive branch, for example.
A lot of people posted, and of course we're on social media is big on our information. It says one of the Josh Hammer, he's a columnist, says LMAO, and it's laugh my butt off at Trump's call out of Pelosi on insider trading. Trump is the funniest president of all time. Zero debate. Actually hilarious. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air. Good morning.
Hey, I think someone's jamming my phone, Russ, because it's shutting me down.
I think there's probably a black Suburban outside your place. You never know.
I don't want to look. No, Trump did cover some turf. He said he's got the best investigating fraud, and he named the 4 or 5 states. Remember?
Yes, he did.
And what he's doing, he's letting no ill hand earn her deportation. Because I think what Trump wants to do is put her ass in prison for fraud first, and then he can go visit her.
Well, he definitely mentioned Minnesota a ton, and he even mentioned the Somalis, and he said Somalian pirates.
Yes, sir.
Man, it made her mad. She's screaming murderer and liar and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And they did the worst insult you could do to anybody. They ignored her. They didn't throw her out. They just ignored her.
Well, what Trump did, he was a master at baiting the communists that was on the other side.
Correct.
They all were sitting there, and people should pay attention. Yeah. Everything he's done that was glorious for this country, they refused to stand up.
Yeah.
They didn't celebrate the United States' merit. So the good for the American people, what he's done. They didn't stand up. That tells me they are diehard communists for us. They are.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, they have another ideology, not the one that I like the U.S. Constitution. That's my ideology. And those 7 conservative resolutions that Mike Johnson wrote back in 2019. You read those, right?
I did.
Okay. Well, that is exactly Trump's platform. Have you not noticed that?
I did not, but I'd have to go back and scan it again. But
yeah, go back and scan it. But that's exactly the Republican platform that Trump is going after. But you got to pull up the Democratic platform. Here's 2 things, and I'm going to go away. Trump, those 7 conservative platform, his platform, is for individual sovereignty. What the Democrats got is community sovereignty. That's a huge difference. Community sovereignty is communism with an overseer. Damn it.
You're exactly right.
Yes, sir.
And they've been doing that, and they've been trying to pit, tribal, trying to make us more tribal, people against people.
Yes,
it's been terrible. What's been implanted into our society.
Yes, sir. But community sovereignty, folks, is not talking about you. They're talking about an overseer that's going. In China, for instance, you have 94,000 Chinese communist members. 94,000 running a country with 1.5 billion in it. You do the math. That's one overseer over 17 people.
Yeah.
That's what the math is. Right now, we got 435 congressmen. Do the math. It's about the same damn number.
Is it? Okay, I never thought about that. Okay.
And just look, almost half of Congress are communists. Now, we have a 1954 Communist Control Act that I wish that Cash and Pam Bondi, I call her Pamela Kamala Bondi is what I call her.
Yeah, okay.
But why they haven't arrested anybody and put them in jail? They just talk. Like her freaking talk shouted it, whatever they call it. But they haven't talked. They haven't done anything, Russ.
Yeah.
They do a lot of talking. We're investigating. We have a hidden room, had burn bags, but they didn't go after who tagged them up. You follow what I'm saying?
Sure.
And call me. He's out walking around rich, free in his mansion. And Hillary, I can't go on. I can't do this. But I'm just saying, Trump's merits that he bragged about. And the downside are the non-freeholder voters that are ignorant and stupid. And you got to take the blame to them because they're the ones that voted for these Democrats.
And
non-freeholder guys are the ones that have no investment in the country. That's what the term would mean today. And a freeholder guy is the one that owns property the rich people that the non-freeholders hate. And they verbalize that today. So you need to do some digging into our history and also the dictionary of words. So you understand when these people say Constitution, when the Democrats say Constitution, they are talking about the equity amendments, is what they're talking about. If you don't know what equity amendments are, they're anything beyond, I say, 13 and up. Because the first two was before they passed the big slanderous equity. But I don't have a problem with 11 and 12, but 13 and up is the ones that they call the Constitution. And that equity amendments, those that are up from 13 to 25 or 27, they are in direct competition with the United States Constitution. Look that up, read them both, and I think you'll agree.
I appreciate the call, my friend.
Yes, sir. You take care.
Bye-bye. Of course, once they become an amendment, they are a part of the Constitution. But I know what he's saying is a part of and I haven't looked at him in that light, calling it an equity.
Well, he's looking at the amendments that were passed after the Civil War.
Correct. Yeah.
And so,
which is, it did take on a different light.
Well, there's the radical Republicans are the ones that passed them, and I'm not saying he's entirely wrong.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to those amendments that, for example, they made the rights, the first 10 amendments, the Bill of Rights, apply to the states as well as to the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
And originally, a lot of people thought they did apply to the states, but then the Supreme Court in 18, I think it was 31 or 35, said, no, they don't apply to the states, they only apply to the federal government. And then after the Civil War, when they passed these amendments, 13 and on, they said, well, we want those rights to apply to everybody and to the states, so the federal government can enforce them. And it gets complicated because about them after Reconstruction, Supreme Court said, oh, no, that's not what they mean at all. So it's a complicated subject that I won't entirely disagree
with OG.
But I have maybe some minor disagreements about how they work.
I certainly haven't looked at it in that light, but that's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. Let me see if we covered everything on everything I can think of right now on the State of the Union. Let me see.
We covered a lot. It's the longest State of the Union in history, I'm told.
Well, yeah, because he already held that from last year. Well, I don't know about the history, but it's been maybe it has been in the history.
Yeah.
They were saying in modern history anyway.
It's kind of interesting because modern political speeches tend to be shorter.
Yeah.
And if you look at the historical political speeches like the Lincoln-Douglas debates, they went on for hours. It was, I'm thinking, how did they have the stamina to speak?
Well, they had and they had to be well read because a lot of that's not going to be
right. I mean, they didn't have, they did not have the teleprompters. But they did write down their speeches quite a bit. Lincoln wrote down the Gettysburg Address while he's on the train.
Yeah, that was like on the back of an envelope or something. But it wasn't that big.
It's become considered one of the greatest speeches ever made.
Yeah, it didn't have to have a large, couple, 2 or 3 pages. It was on an envelope or something like that, just 4.7 years. I had to look that up. Like, what does that mean exactly? I think it's like 84, 87 years.
A score is
20 years, which I don't think we use that anymore.
No,
but it's very poetic.
Well, it was common at the time.
Yeah, it was. Well, in other news, it looks like Kim Jong-un tried to get some news, and he gets shoved aside a lot, especially when there's a speech from the president and all that. He doesn't get the attention. So he did something to try to get some attention. That he handed his teenage daughter a leadership role in the Missile Administration. That's the body that handles the nuclear forces. So
wow.
But she is 13 or 14. They're not sure which one.
I'm just thinking, if I were one of those commanders, having one of the most important jobs in North Korea.
Yeah, we handle nuclear.
And then being told that this teenage girl is now my boss.
Correct. Yes, she is the Missile General Director at 13 or 14.
That's got to be
amazing. It makes it sound more like a kingdom or something, you know, where you put.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it's working like that.
You don't want to cross her.
Oh my gosh, no! I mean, she grew up with that power in mind that this is your power to do anything you want.
I mean, you know, North Korea is more of an absolute monarchy than most monarchies throughout history.
Yeah.
The incredible power of life and death at any moment over everybody is just amazing. Now, there were, you know, monarchies that had that power, but a lot of them were more constrained.
Well, so now they're going to have to. You're right. The people that are doing the work and doing all that have to work with her, go through her on all that kind of stuff. That's too much for a 13, 14-year-old. I mean, I don't know how many of you all had kids out there, but
I would think so. I mean, now girls they're supposed to mature faster than boys.
Is that right?
But I'm thinking of myself at 13 and 14. I would not have had a clue about anything like that, about any idea of administering or trying to control that. It boggles my mind, and I suspect there's much more to it than we understand. There's a lot of insider stuff going on there we don't know.
According to one of their local papers or something, there's a Jang Chang Ha that's officially listed as the director of the administration. Intelligence suggests Kim's daughter's receiving briefings from generals and issuing directives.
Yeah.
Better keep her in a good mood.
Yes.
Scary thing.
I mean, to me, I'm trying to think of it, having been a long time bureaucrat in the U.S. military, the idea of having a 13-year-old girl as head of the major department way up there is scary as can be.
Well, I think what should happen is they should have a meeting and somebody stand up and object. See what happens.
Yeah, yeah, you would not do that.
Yeah,
they want to keep their head.
You'll never be seen again. Who knows?
Yes, that happens in North Korea, particularly. It's very Stalin-esque.
And this article mentioned something I didn't really, I wasn't thinking about. I didn't recognize. But North Korea has suspending all meaningful diplomacy between the United States and South Korea since the collapse of a 2019 summit between Kim and President Donald Trump. So there's not really the openness.
No, President Trump did more to open up the dialogue than anybody else had done.
But they had a disagreement in 2019, and that dialogue was, I guess, cut off.
Yes, I don't remember the particulars of that.
Yeah, so he's.
I had thought that with the coming of the Biden administration that's what did it, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. Well, it says 2019. And,
right.
There was Trump.
And Biden didn't come in until 2021.
I read this article from Doug Schoen, and Doug Schoen is a more than 40 years experience as a pollster and political consultant. He served President Clinton, Michael Bloomberg, and so he's not a conservative.
Right. Or at least he didn't work for conservatives generally. Those are too far leftist.
So I'm always interested in that and what they think. And he wrote about the State of the Union speech. He says it was a great performance with profound messages. And I guess that's a lot coming from an adversarial viewpoint. I mean, I'm taking it as adversarial.
Well, he may be more, objective than we think.
Maybe. He goes on to say American people should associate with the progress, future, and success of the country with the Trump administration and the Republican Party. And he says that was the important message that came out. He spoke of transformation, turnarounds, and most of all, the golden age of America. It was moving and uplifting, though not necessarily as persuasive as he may have hoped.
Well,
okay. But that's not unexpected,
right?
Based on his background. He said Trump made the most compelling case, yet that the affordability crisis, which is Democrats used to win the 2025 off-year elections, which like Mandani and stuff like that, is now finally under control. He also made clear the Republican Party had policies on health care, retirement, prices, and most of all, taxes. And he argued would benefit the American people in ways few have articulated. He's not convinced, though, that it's going to make a difference. He thinks that it did little to present a unified front at the State of the Union with Democrats in Congress.
I thought the opposite.
Me
thought,
too.
To me, it showed that the Republicans were unified,
right?
Tremendously unified.
But that's, and I'm reading this because I like to see what's going on. Somebody that's somewhat level-headed, but yet not that. He did point out there were 30 empty seats in the chamber, which is way fewer than what the Democrats first was beating their chest about. Like no Democrats were going to go or something.
I suppose you could read his message to claim that the unified front meant all the Democrats would be with Trump too. That's kind of weird. I wouldn't expect it.
Yeah, well, he said that's what it was meant to do, or whatever. Well, that's what he was trying to accomplish. I think he did. He said the 38 seats in the chamber, as some Democrats chose to hold their own People's State of the Union, whatever that might be. So I don't remember seeing the People's State of the Union anywhere. I'm sure they had something. I doubt that it got the hits that the alternative Super Bowl halftime got.
Right. No, nowhere close, I don't think.
Yeah. He said the president's use of imagery was powerful. Victories from U.S. Olympic teams to military heroes recognized in the chamber. So, he's being honest.
Yeah.
Looking at it through a lens of, that was good marketing or good to do. A sense of pride in the country that I had not felt in years during a State of the Union address. And I think that's very true.
Yeah, I think he was President Trump did extremely well with that.
And this was his fifth time or sixth time. And of course, two of them were actually just not really State of the Union because he wasn't president for the year before, but it was more of an address to Congress. Is what they labeled it as. But there's a 1 hour 40 speech, I guess, was he says, while I am no means sympathetic to today's Democratic Party.
Interesting.
Especially its progressive wing. The degree of attacks and venom expressed on what is traditionally a nonpartisan event was off-putting. Even to someone who has spent 50 years in the rough and tumble politics. I didn't find it that off-putting, but I'm looking at it through a different lens.
Right. I agree with you because it showed this clear choice. It differentiated.
He did differentiate. I didn't think it was as venomous as what he would.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, but someone was joking like Nancy Pelosi here. That's not funny if you're her. That's at her expense, probably.
Right.
But they had people actually clap that were Democrats when they said no more
insider trading.
People stood up for that. So that was kind of. He said Trump set the agenda for the midterm elections, which true.
That's what he was trying to do,
and I think that's absolutely true, and it's normal. It's exactly what's supposed to happen. And he talked about it as such that he met with a lot of cabinet members and political leaders beforehand to set out agendas and to kick it off. And this was really the kickoff.
Yes, I would agree.
Right now of what we're in, and that is an election year that's very important and could make some drastic changes to our country if we don't do it right.
If Trump loses either house, his agenda is done. I mean, it's almost he will not be able to get anything through Congress if he loses either house.
Yeah, they're going to tie him up.
Right.
And the one that's most in danger would be the House. The Senate they look at a little differently.
Right. Well, the Senate should be more Republican because it's by state, and there's more Republican states.
Yeah, except I don't know what Arizona is. We've got two Democratic.
Well, we have
such a shame.
It's very unusual, and I don't think it'll last.
I hope so. I mean, it won't last, but is it not going to last 20 years or is it not going to last 5 years?
It's a good point. Russ,
yeah. But he says it's clear he will run a populist campaign, and that's absolutely true. He is a populist.
Yes, no question.
He pays attention to what people want and gives it to them.
That's the idea.
I don't know that that's a bad thing.
No, I think it's a good thing.
Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
I just want to tell you, buddy, there in the studio, watch Fox. They have the best coverage of the audience when you watch the State of the Union. I watched 4 networks, and Fox has the best coverage of the audience where the Democrats are sitting down and everything else.
I appreciate your research, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye. Watch Fox.
Yeah, well, I was on the internet when I was watching it. So.
Yeah. Well, Fox is being replayed on the internet.
Sure. I'm just saying that I'm not sure which feed I was watching.
But the left talks about a populist campaign as being something very negative and lazy because we're smarter than everybody.
That's their whole philosophy. Yes.
They don't know what they want.
The whole progressive philosophy is we're smarter than you are. You're not smart. We will tell you what to do because we know more than you.
And the biggest obvious thing that pops up is when you start talking about the SAVE Act, which we know through polls is 84% of the population wants a SAVE Act.
Right.
Almost 100% of the Democrats in Congress said no.
Right.
Everyone but Fetterman.
And just to remind people, the SAVE Act means you have to show ID to vote in a federal election.
84%.
Yeah, of the entire population.
The entire population. 71% of the
Democrats, correct.
Say, yes, we need to have that to make sure that there's security in the election.
Right. And it's hard to see, the Democratic politicians, not Democrats in general, twist logic into pretzels trying to say why they don't like it.
Why do you think they don't like it?
Well, I think the system as it is has worked for them, and they have rather disproportionate representation in a lot of states with the system as it is, and they don't want to change that. And of course, I have a suspicion that they realize that they may be getting a disproportionate amount of votes because there's some cheating going on.
They can't say it out loud.
Right.
And they got to say, oh, there's nothing. It's a perfect election. Everything was perfect. Everything was perfect. And it's not.
We know that it's not perfect.
Yeah. So it's obvious. I mean, but that is just.
But if you say there's no problems, your base says, well, okay, fine, let's have voter ID. There's no problems, so it won't do anything. It's no problem.
Well, they have to come up with an excuse.
Yes, exactly.
And those excuses have normally been minorities. But I think some of the minorities are like, look, we may be a minority, but we're not stupid. We know how to have an ID. We have one.
Right. We use an ID all the time. We use it to go to buy anything at a store. We use it for a credit card. We use it to get on a plane.
Everything. And now they're saying it's married women because they have to change their name and they don't know where their birth certificate is. So now they're just not saying minorities are not smart. They're saying that married women aren't smart.
It appears that way.
It's just ridiculous, though.
Yeah.
It's a silly argument.
It is because the ID they're talking about, I believe 99% of people already have it.
Probably higher.
Yeah.
But you're right, because you can't function in our society without it.
Correct. It's very difficult to do so.
You can't have a bank account. You can't register to vote in most states. But some states now.
We have the act that was passed, I'm thinking it was during the Clinton administration, the Motor Voter Act, where you would almost automatically be registered to vote when you get a driver's license.
Well, quite often people were automatically done when they didn't want to be.
Sure.
And same in Arizona, you get to check boxes, and if you don't, it looks like somebody was checking them for you.
Well, and even if you don't have the right to vote, if you get registered that way, it opens up the potential for lots of fraud.
Right,
because now you have a registered voter that's not voting. Oh, we could, what if we send a mail-in ballot to that person and then have somebody collect it?
Right. Well, if you have a huge amount of registered voters aren't going to vote, it's easier to shove some fake documents in there and have cover and say, what are you talking about? It's only about 80% of the population that's registered.
Yeah, it reminds me, I think that I've forgotten the exact numbers, but the registration list in Wisconsin is about twice the number of potential voters in Wisconsin.
And the Democrats seem to like that.
No, exactly.
Yeah. And people move, people die.
Yeah, all kinds of things.
All kinds of things. And they don't always catch the records up, and there needs to be some apparatus in place to do that. And the Democrats are against it, the Republicans are for it. And it shouldn't be a political football. It should just be common sense, but
I agree.
It's not universal. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Doing well. Good morning.
I like the new work requirement in New York.
Oh, for shoveling
four
snow?
IDs and a shovel.
Yeah. Well, that's in order to get the shovel. They will supply the shovel if you have the IDs, and they'll pay you $19 an hour. and they didn't get any takers or as many as they needed, so they bumped it to $30 now. So it's about time we get in our cars and go up there and shovel some snow. Man.
Darn too.
Yeah, but
I
you
just
need
gotta
to
figure
have
out
the
where-
ID, and it's
Well, I got to
crazy.
get my printing press going so I can print them up.
You're gonna use fake ones, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
You know how that works.
some people
You
would
know.
call them fake.
Yeah, some people.
Hey, that's how you look at it. It's just all in how you look at it.
Yeah. No, it's a ridiculous hypocrisy coming from our. Is that our most populous city in the United States? 8 million or so.
I think Los
so.
Angeles is bigger than New York.
Yeah.
I thought Las Vegas was.
Well, a lot of these are not. Are like when you say like Denver, Colorado only has 500,000 people, but it's the Denver Met, like Phoenix. Phoenix is not that big.
Exactly. It's the Metroplex, small
Metroplex. But if you talk about city, I think it's New York City.
Yeah, you could be right because it's so dense.
Yeah.
You know, New York is one of the most densely populated cities. It may be the most densely populated in the United States.
Yeah.
Well, I think they've got an eighth of their population lives underground.
Could be. I don't know.
Well, they've submitted a budget. Mondani has. It's $127 billion, and that is just mind-boggling. That's a city budget, not a state budget, and it's bigger than the state of Florida's budget.
Yeah,
it's bigger
that's what
than
I
the
read.
state of
And Florida
Pennsylvania.
is a big state. I mean, population-wise, it's like the fourth biggest or something.
Yeah, and New York City is bigger budget for 8 million people,
right?
Or at least proposed budget.
Let me throw this out there real quick. Let's in your kitchen.
Yeah.
You got your young child sitting at the table, and you're sitting at the table.
Yeah.
And I put a half gallon of ice cream out there with 2 spoons.
That kid ain't got a chance.
Yeah, you got it. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, where I was going with that real quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just pandering, same old pandering.
But because it's so obvious that Mandani is bringing it to light in obvious ways that they're supposed to cover. He's not covering it. You know, he's making it obvious, the hypocrisy and the bad decisions and everything.
Well, we could have left it with the Dutch, let the Dutch run it, but that didn't work out too good. So then we let the English run it, and that didn't work out real good.
I think we should let the Native Americans run it. They were doing okay.
They didn't have anybody there.
Hey, casino on every corner.
Oh no, that was pre-casino, man.
All right, guys, have a
Take care.
good day.
All right, Ted. Bye. Yeah, that was way before casinos.
Yeah.
And what was supposed to be like $24 worth of trinkets or something?
Well, in
Victoria's.
today's dollars or whatever, but when you look back at it, the Indians say, "Oh, you guys want this swampy piece of terrain, and you're willing to give us this valuable stuff?" Yeah, okay.
Well, and the con was, at least I've read this before, I don't know how true it is. The con was that the Indians didn't really recognize ownership of properties like
in the same way we think of it.
Yeah, so it was like, yeah, I don't care. It's not mine. You know, I'll take your trinket.
Well, they weren't trinkets at the time. They were extremely valuable goods. I mean, you look at what Native Americans or pre-Columbian Indians had. They did not have any steel. They did not have metal pots. They did not have
horses.
I mean, and they didn't have generally down in Mexico and down there, they had cloth. They had cotton cloth down there.
Mm-hmm.
But north of Mexico, they generally did not have cloth.
Animal skins.
There was that. Now, it may be that some of the Navajo Pueblo types, I don't think they had sheep, so they couldn't have had woolen cloth.
Yeah.
So these things were extremely, a blanket, that was made of wool was so much better for so many things than an animal skin was.
Right.
I mean, a steel knife was so much better than a chipped flint knife. I mean, and so those were extremely valuable. Well, land, there's a lot of it. We can't possibly use all of it, and we're not using this hardly at all. So you want to say you got it and you give us this good stuff? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Makes sense. But my understanding is that most Indian tribes were pretty mobile. They traveled around.
There's a lot of variability.
Sure.
I mean, if you get down further to the Incas and Mayans, go south into Mexico and beyond, there was civilizations. The Inca civilization had big cities. They had trade. They had written language. I mean, it was a civilization. I think it was not a great civilization because they had, a lot of human sacrifice and cannibalism. And the Spaniards, the conquistadors, used that as a pry bar to say, hey, all you tribes that are being put down and have been basically victimized by the Aztecs, we'll give you a lot better deal. And of course, then you had all the diseases that came in too.
That's what
and
really
that was what really killed off most of the opposition to the Spaniards, to the conquistadors, were the diseases. But steel horses and history were very important.
I was listening to Elon Omar's comments the other day, which I learned a lot of history from her because she makes so many missteps. The obvious gets pointed out, and she made fun of Trump for saying something about the Spanish started the cowboys. And she said, well, I've got to tell the slaves and indigenous people about that because that's where, but the history I learned was that slaves and indigenous people didn't have horses. The Spaniards brought them. And that's where the horses came from.
Well, and the other thing is that people don't realize is that slavery was common in the New World. There was lots of slavery going on here before the Europeans got here.
Right. But not with the horses.
No, they didn't have horses. Yeah. Horses were a huge thing.
But I've watched cowboy movies, and everybody has a horse. Cowboy movie.
Yeah, well, some of the Spanish horses escaped and started their own stock, and they loved the Great Plains, and the environment here was very useful, and they thrived on it. And
they still do.
Yeah, and there are wild horses around Yuma, and so soon everybody who wanted a horse and could figure out how to grab one was able to get one.
Yeah,
and they were extremely valuable.
And they're protected in the United States now since the 70s.
The wild horses,
wild horses and burros.
They're protected on federal land.
Which creates a lot of havoc because they cause a lot of problems.
They're exotic species. They were brought here by Europeans, and so
they're not endangered. They're
not. And they cause a lot of problems because their habits are. The burros particularly really eat a lot of stuff that causes problems.
So the government spends tons of money to house them, not kill them, house them.
Well, and they ask for people to adopt them.
Yes, which is crazy.
Well, you can, but it's expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up with horses, and they take a lot of work and a lot of expense.
Yeah. Well, they used to eat them, and
oh yeah. And then the Congress passed a law and said, no, you can't ship them to Europe for food
because they'll eat them.
Yeah.
We used to, in fact, the Rotary Club in Mojave County used to have an annual burro cook-off.
And I understand it's excellent.
I understand it is. I've never done it. But, I moved here after it was illegal to eat them. But
is it illegal to eat them? I think,
as far as I know,
it's probably how they're harvested that is the problem.
I don't know that you can.
I don't know it's illegal to eat them. I think you can. It's just that maybe you can advertise it or something. That'd be a freedom of speech issue, I would think.
I know you can't take them in the wild and shoot one. You're going to jail.
It depends. I've looked into this. You can't do it on federal property.
A lot of it's not on federal property.
But if it's on private land, you can shoot them.
Really? I
guess if you're the landowner anyway.
Well, it's they're so protected, and we have these refuges that they build for the horses and burros, where they let them retire there, and they feed them. The federal government spends millions of dollars feeding these things
because there aren't enough people who are willing to put up with having one.
Well, and I guess people are hungry enough to eat one, but we're not allowed to do that.
Yes, that's true. I mean, the federal government can't take these that they have and use them for food. That's not allowed.
And apparently the burros particular are very sought after. The French like that, apparently. The French.
Well, when I've talked to people who have eaten burro, they all praise it.
Okay. Well, we can kill cattle because cattle aren't that pretty.
Yeah, I guess they're not as photogenic or whatever.
So they can be on the menu.
Yes.
but not the horse.
Yeah. I don't see this, and I probably shouldn't say it, but I'm going to.
Yeah, you're going to get some horse people that are going to hate you.
I don't see a big movement to save the wild cattle.
No, unless it's a buffalo.
Oh, buffalo, yeah.
Yeah, a buffalo, they're trying to save those. I don't know if they're full-blooded buffalo anymore, are they?
I read a whole book about the buffalo, and it says it's a problem trying to keep
the breed pure.
Yes, it is, because there's a lot of interbreeding between buffalo and cattle.
Yeah,
has happened, and people who raise buffalo like the buffalo to be a little more domesticated than they were, and so they get interbred with cattle, and they're not as likely to break through the fences and everything if they're.
I love it when people go to Yellowstone and get their picture taken beside a buffalo. They usually get hurt. That's a disaster. Stay away from
not
them.
a smart thing to do.
I'll be back tomorrow. Dean, thanks for coming in. AM 560 KBLU.
Approaching record-setting high temperatures now for this week. 95 expected today. 10 to 15 mile per hour winds. Clear and 63 tonight. 95 and sunny tomorrow. 66 tomorrow night. Sunny and 97 on Friday.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never